All right, and then let me check over here. Let's see here. Yes. Okay. All right, all right, all right. Welcome everyone to episode 8. It should I think it says 851.
It
It does
does.
say, okay, all right, cool. 851 of the Black Brain Trust. This is the Sapio-Females Guide to the Galaxy. Intro- ɛkstrə́vərt. That's a kind of a play on a couple of words there. I have Miss Real Life is Not in Cyberspace. How's it going here?
Hey, going okay, pretty well. How you?
Good, good, good.
Good.
Um, yeah, let me catch myself once again. I got to do this. We got to
Mhm.
welcome everyone, right?
Welcome everyone. The
Yeah,
notification just went out only like 30 seconds ago, so at least according to what I
yeah.
can
I would do the typical, like, yeah, YouTube is hating, but you know what I mean?
see.
I mean,
Right.
sometimes I really think, like, does YouTube really have a legitimate reason to hate?
Uh,
You, you
it,
know,
it depends on from what perspective you ask that question.
I don't know.
Well,
Just for
depends though.
just the general sense of hating, like, we don't like this content. Like, I think
Oh,
YouTube is kind
nah.
of, I think
Yeah.
they're kind of indifferent. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
I think it's something else. But
The
yeah,
um the shadow
yeah.
banning stuff is real though. Like I didn't believe it for like 3 years when people kept talking about it, but I saw it happening, not with me, with someone else, and I was like, oh, okay. And the channel is, maybe like 2,000 subscriber count, not that big. So yeah, they have time to
No,
shadow ban
it's
them.
that is a thing. That is a thing. I don't know if maybe we've been. I don't know. I think it's been more or less just people literally, dry hating. Like, don't fuck with those dudes. It wasn't even YouTube. It was just other people on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I think it could be a mix of both. I think so. But nonetheless, we are here. And what are we going to talk about tonight?
I didn't hear anything until just about tonight, so I hope I didn't miss too much.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know what happened.
Yeah, no, I
Some
asked a question. I said, "What are we going to talk about tonight?"
well, definitely extrovertism and introvertism, and I
Hmm.
think our perspectives on it, where I think where we fall in the line of it from our own opinions, our own perspectives, and what it means to us, and also is it sort of a definition that the how you relate to the outside world, meaning how the outside world would make the decision from the perspective of a person being introverted, extroverted, or is it the person's own decision?
Hmm.
Because I think a lot of people come across as extroverted and the world will think they are, but if you ask them, they'll say they're introverted. Um,
Yes.
so let's start here if you don't mind.
Let's go.
Um, so where do you place yourself along the continuum?
It's interesting that you asked that question. Um, I was I think I was telling you about this. I sent a message to a friend of mine one night, right? And I was just sort of like, I might be having like a philosophical kind of what do they call that? Not a crisis, but where you kind of like you're questioning things, right? I've always
Hmm.
felt as though as an introvert, and I do still believe that. I guess the question is, am I naturally one, or have I been basically based on like society and social environment? Was I kind of made to be one, right? I think that's
Hmm.
the question. I don't
Hmm.
know if I'm naturally one, but I still am inclined to think that I am introverted,
Hmm.
very much so, because you know what? I had to catch myself from saying that. I was about to literally say something that may not actually be true.
What was it? I'm so curious now. Now you gotta say
Well,
it.
okay, so let's take for example this very live stream right now, right?
Hmm.
This is a very extroverted
Right,
activity, so to speak.
right, right,
Kind of questions my own introversion. I don't know.
right, right, right.
You know what I mean? It's like so we have to, I don't know. I mean, maybe this is kind of what opens this up, right?
This is exactly what we're talking about. Yeah,
What
and
about you? What
this
about you?
came up. I like how that part came up organically because the brief part we discussed about it before the presentation here.
Mhm.
Um, we didn't get to that part, but yeah, so that to me is the very foundation of it. So okay, what about me? Where do I approach it first? So I was what I would consider a shy kid, right? Which
Hmm.
means that must mean I'm a shy person to some extent. There must be some of that in me, right? Because and it wasn't like, so here's the thing, like I was very open with my mom, my friends.
Hmm.
And I, very silly, very, all over the place. But even if it was like some other family members, I was much more reserved around them. And I remember even to the point they were like making a huge deal about my reading. And my uncle was like, "What does that say? What does that say?" And it was like something so easy. It was a comic strip. It was Gasoline Alley. I'll never forget. And
Mm.
for some reason, I felt like I had to slow it down and kind of be a little more humble about the situation, because that's how I felt it would have been received as not that if I just outright quickly said it, right? So
Hmm.
this is a very interesting thing, and I thought about this for many years because this has nothing to do with my uncle, has nothing to do with anyone but me. This is me in the world, right? That thing right there is very much a situation where I can look at myself and my relationship with the world in general, which is a very introverted way of thinking about things. I think that let's define introvertism for a second, from my perspective. So I know we all know about the MBTI test or whatever it's called, personality test. So
What is what the was it? That's not the Briggs. That's a different one, right?
it's different, but they're similar. They're all
Okay.
to like
Okay.
figure out to compartmentalize personalities.
Hmm.
Which I think is potentially dangerous, right? Because look right now, we can't just say, "Hey, I'm extrovert. Hey, I'm introvert," right? So
Yeah.
for people to be able to label it that way is strange. But actually, the test is a little more fair. It does put you. To me, the music sounds perfect. I just saw your comment.
Okay. All right. Just want to make
Like,
sure.
there's a mixture of it, and then they'll add some other things in there like judgment, intuitive, sensitive things, like how you look at things in those ways, right? And kind of mix them all together. So truly, even from that scale, there is a blend, right? But so you can't be fully there's no such thing as fully in or out, right? Unless we're talking about mental disorders. So, fully introverted may be autism, fully extroverted may be schizophrenia,
Hmm.
or some things like that.
Sociopathic.
Sure, and that could even be complete introvertism. I could argue both sides,
Yeah, you get both sides, right?
right? So I mean, and I was comfortable with that. So like when people would come up to me and be like, "Oh, hi," I would hide behind my mom's leg from like the age of like, I probably stopped doing that around like 5. And then I would
Hmm.
just kind of look at people. And it was truly because I did not want to talk to them. I had no interest in the exchange. I didn't feel so good because they were calling me cute and they wanted to talk to me. I felt very intruded upon, and I wanted to just chill with my mom. But I knew that that's not the world. And my mom was very good at kind of like, refereeing all that for me. But still, it was like, of course, you're expected to exchange to some level.
Hmm.
And, it's just kind of like in my own world sort of thing, which I associate with being an introvert. But if you ask anybody who knows me, I think they would say she's both. But people who don't know me very well would probably say it depends on the situation. If they work with me, they'd probably say I'm definitely an extrovert. If they know me in a social level, they might say I'm a little introverted, because
Hmm.
there's no necessity to communication there. And at a job, there's a goal, there's a focus. So it's like, okay, is that just an introverted person melding well with their life? Or, like what's this whole
Well,
thing,
I was gonna. That's what I was gonna kind of ask, right? Because that's kind of one of the things I've never had a problem with doing
Hmm.
was being a team member, so to speak,
Hmm.
right, in the work environment and stuff like that. It's not as if like I had how do I say this shit? I know when I need to use like the charm and all that crap.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I can do it. I can turn it on.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
then there's like as soon as I'm done or as I'm finished having to do it, I want to like recoil.
Hmm.
It just literally go away somewhere, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think what happens is that we maybe just throughout life we've learned how to let's just say dress for the occasion,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And so we do that, you show up and then you go back to where you go,
Hmm.
right? It's not. an extension of, like, let's just say when you leave that environment, it's more like, okay, I have an obligation to do this. I'm going to do it, right? And I'm not going to disappoint in me doing it. However, this kind of face, or let's just say persona, that I'm
Mhm.
giving you at this moment, this is my professional face.
Mhm.
Okay, don't think that, like, on my off hours or something, all of a sudden it's like, hey, let's go do this. Like, dude, I am literally gonna take a nap.
Yeah, that's something that I think is another telling thing about if people are. Am I cutting you off?
No, go ahead.
Okay, if people are introverts or not is like these types of social things that like people kind of tell us or you're supposed to do. Like you're supposed to have a group of friends. You guys go and take an annual trip every year. These are the types of hypes they try to, that popular culture tries to make seem like the norm. And
Hmm.
so people feel like if they're not doing these things, they're missing out. Whereas the introvert, I feel like it looks like we immediately see that that's a fake thing, right? I'll explain in a second. But then it's like, if you don't want to do that, that's not something that's fun, right? It doesn't make it fun. It's not fun, and then you decide if you want to do something fun or not. It's more so it's only fun if you want to do it, right? And being able to embrace that, I think, is a very introverted trait. And here's where I think it gets to the deeper aspect of it.
Hmm.
So speaking to people who have had problems with being comfortable in public, I had this situation many a times, right? And I usually start off asking them, when you first meet somebody, are you thinking about what you think about them, or are you thinking about what they're thinking about you?
Hmm.
And across the board, and that just occurred to me to ask one day, right? And then it became a very central question. And across the board, this idea of I'm thinking about what other people are thinking about me, I tend to find those people seem to be less functional when they have to be so-called extroverted, right? Because look where all that energy is going. You're going to miss a lot if you meet somebody and you're just thinking about what they're thinking about you. Matter of fact, you're gonna probably miss everything about them.
Right.
You're not going to be able to pick up on a lot of cues in terms of anything, right? And because you're so busy self-monitoring and trying to, decipher what's going on in their brain, this is very wasted energy because that's not what those faculties are firing off there for. They're firing off to read the other person. And so I think an introvert is very comfortable with this and very understanding of this notion. And this is how the world is lived versus the other one, which is what I would truly define as the extrovert, the person who's so wrapped up into this.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I mean that's kind of it's two different worlds, and it's crazy. That's why I kind of like I question. I had asked the question like, okay, am I naturally this, or was I sort of like socialized to be this, right? Because I,
Mm-hmm.
I would say that in either scenario, my disposition is very much introverted.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, to kind of speak to the other side of it, right? The engagement in extroverted activities. This is sort of like the conundrum,
Mm-hmm.
right? Anything that I've typically done usually involves some sort of crowd of some
Uh-huh.
kind,
Mhm,
other people observing and all that.
mhm.
And I had to ask myself this, not too long ago. Maybe this just maybe like a month ago. I was just like, well, like how much of an introvert could I really be if the things that I do typically involve sort of like an outreach, or involves like a crowd or a group of people that are extraneous to me.
Mhm,
How like what is it that has your introverted ass drawn to doing shit like that?
mhm,
And you know, on some levels, it's conscious decisions. Totally.
mhm.
I just think that what I've never considered was that little scenario I was just talking about. Like, well, since you're such the fucking introvert, why do you do so much extroverted shit?
So it's necessary, and maybe it lies in the idea of that being a skill that one, has to place in the world versus what's going on inside and their true nature. So being able to use social skills or life skills to, have the social life and life that you want, right? And not sitting at home being like, oh, I wish I could do that and I wish I could do this and not do
Yeah.
it. And then that's a funny concept because So there's let's say the guy who, I don't know, maybe he's like 25 and he's always at home. He's playing video games all day, every day. He's getting food delivery. He doesn't even really speak to anybody, but he really wants to. Is he an introvert or an extrovert? He's like a malfunctioning extrovert, right? Whereas what you're describing is like a functioning introvert.
Okay, that's an interesting way to look at it. Wait, a function. What did you call it? A dysfunctional extrovert versus
Yeah,
a
it's
functional
a
introvert?
malfunctional. Yeah,
Yeah, a
it's
malfunctioning. Okay.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, and see, and what can the malfunction be? What maybe like things like what, like depression, right? It could be like,
Um,
think about like a guy.
insanity.
Typically he would like to be like the life of the party or something, but maybe like he put on like a few pounds or something, and so all of a sudden, he's just kind of like, he doesn't really have that confidence.
Mm-hmm.
But typically he would, if it wasn't just for A, B, or C, right? Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
How does one be a malfunctioned extrovert? That's the question.
By
I'm asking.
wanting,
I'm asking you.
yeah, by coveting extrovert activities and that being at the center of what they feel would make them happy, but somehow can't act that out. Whereas let's take the functioning introvert, whereas the person that you described as yourself, right? And that be putting that label on it, then it'd be like, maybe, you're not thrilled to go out and, do all this. And, it does take energy, but it's not horrible. And it's something you have to do something else that you want to do. So you understand that, kind of like how we make money, right? Nobody really wants to go chasing money. This is not the idea, but we need it to live a
Right.
comfortable life. So if we cut out that middle part, it's just get right there, right? So that's functioning, right? But this guy, he really wants to go out and chill, and he can't. Because most people, if they want to go out, I know plenty of people, myself included, when you're younger, well, when I was younger, I always did things because I never wanted to look back years later and be like, oh my gosh, I missed prom, like for any of it. You know what I mean? So I do a lot of stuff just because I felt like this is what people are supposed to be doing. But it wasn't, I mean, I had a good time and stuff, but it wasn't, I'd have been just fine just chilling at home. But I knew that if I look back on that, I'd be like, why'd you chill at home all that time? So I had a point there. I think I lost it, but I was thinking about something else. But yeah, so I mean, you're not really wanting to do all those things, but I know, I was gonna say, like, so if you want to do them, you do them, right? So let's say you move into a new neighborhood. This was my situation at this time. Moved into a new neighborhood, and I was really thinking, okay, I was like very young. I was thinking, people are supposed to get to know, and there was always this idea of camaraderie in the neighborhood. Like I grew up with that, so I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to like make that for myself. I didn't want to go out and like, sit at the local bar or whatever. So I wasn't going to do all that. But like, naturally, I'm going to go out into the store. I may ask a question. It may start there. I'm like, so, are people cool around here? Is it safe? Has your store ever been robbed? And it may start like that. And then now 3 years later, me and this person are calling ourselves friends. So it wasn't really extroverted of me to do all that. But if the guy is sitting at home and really wants to go out, why didn't he do that? We're here. I'm saying I'm mostly probably introverted, maybe a blend of both. And I did that. So that's why I say it's kind of like, that's why I put the functioning and malfunctioning thing in there.
Yeah, no, and that's why I'm saying that's a really interesting point because I used to club promote and DJ and all that, right? And so again, that's kind of where I always kind of look at myself and I go, so what is it about you that has you doing extroverted shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, club promoting is me going to other clubs and handing out flyers, hitting cars up, you know, doing all that crap, and then DJing. So playing music, reading crowds and stuff, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't suck as a DJ and then get gigs. Okay. So
Right.
you have to have, it's like an ability to be able to play music that's proper for the setting, being able to read the crowd, where are you going to be at, and just stuff like that. And so that's not something that somebody who just decides to sit in their room and game all the damn time has the ability to really kind of hone down and do, unless they get out and do it a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what kind of speaks to the whole where I kind of look at myself and I go, like, okay, you do have your tendencies and your modes, but then
Yeah.
you go and do that shit over there. So what's really going on with that? Are we kind
Hmm.
of like mislabeling ourselves? Or I mean, is there some sort of like in between?
Hmm.
Is there some sort of in between like an uh like an what would be like the middle between an intro and an extrovert? Like what would be the
Probably a
middle?
regular person. Like,
Normal? Is it
yeah, in this
regular?
world,
Normal?
this society, groups of people will often force the labels and will force the positionings, and that's fine. That's going to be an expected norm, but that doesn't mean we have to do it for ourselves. And
Mhm.
like, let's say somebody gets approached with this concept, which I think both of us have, because our generation, I think we were really kind of inundated with this idea.
Yep.
And so very early on,
What the heck just happened?
first
You're,
concept, I felt it was.
wait, real, you dropped out a little bit. Can you just go right back?
Oh yeah, sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. When I first heard the concept, when I was very young, I don't remember how old, I thought it was an extrovert. Like, that sounded like the cool one, right?
Hmm.
So let's look at that for a second. That means that there's already some preconceived notion in this very young child that something about that is better than the other one. Why would that be, right? So that means that there is sort of a pushing to labels. Just because a thinking person can have that thought, that automatically makes it a fact that there is some sort of an assessment of what may be cooler and not cooler somewhere out there. Where would I have gotten that from, right?
Hmm.
um because it's a social concept, right? It's not something you could just think of in a vacuum, like something like tall or short, you know what I mean, or curly hair or straight hair. This is much deeper and much more affected by the world. The definition is affected by the world, right? So on both counts, the way I was saying, from the perspective of the person experiencing it or not, and by this part here. So, I mean, um the pushing of the labels, if they're approached with that very early, they're going to be forced to like act out one. It's like how, kids always feel like that. Like, there's this one thing they have. What do you want to be when you grow up? A whole bunch of things. Like, why does it have to be just this one
A
thing?
fireman, a
What do you
superhero.
like? Right, right. What do you like doing? You say one thing, that's good enough. Like, why don't you wait for the kid to say like three or five more things? Because I'm sure they're there. But if
Yeah.
you start saying, "Oh, that's cool," after they say the one thing, now the kid's thinking, "Okay, so there's one answer is expected here." There's so many ways that that's pushed, to choose one or the other. This black and white thinking, this polarity thinking, which is dangerous for several reasons, because that middle ground is where a lot of balance is, huh? Right? So we're gonna need to pay attention to that. But what do you think about it? I don't know.
I
Okay.
so here's the thing, right? I think that a good portion of society has a vested interest in not pushing multifacetedness on its youth,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that what that does is, if you do that from early on, it creates a more real well-rounded individual
Mm-hmm.
in adulthood, right? And what the problem here is that it goes back to parenting, right? See, parents have to sort of take that mantle on and
Mm-hmm.
ensure that their kid becomes that as an adult, right? When
Absolutely.
they have to actually engage in that. And you know what happens when you do that? You have to do that as a parent. You yourself go through a process of change. Okay, you can't
Mm-hmm.
you can't do that and then stay the same. But you
Mm-hmm.
can't
Mm-hmm.
do it like that. Like, if there's a certain outcome that you want for your child, you have to kind of be reflective of that, or you have to sort of like create the model. So you have to have the environment for it,
Mm-hmm.
and that literally requires you to think and act in a way that you you didn't prior to you having the child, or maybe you did in some ways, but now you're really kind of taking on the responsibility of crafting and molding the mentality and the psyche of this whole human being right here, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So that there's a biofeedback,
Mhm.
right? And so if parents don't do it, then they kind of maybe look at outer institutions, coaches, mentors, other people, and they can only do but so much. They have their own lives to live, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But you know, the whole multifacetedness of grooming children, and I don't, and when I say grooming children, I mean like raising them,
Yes, I
developing
understand.
them,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
just on the record, right? I'm talking
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah.
the, yeah, and then the positive connotation of the word. Um, you know, that really does require intention from the parent or the adult who's taking on responsibility for making sure that this child grows to be a responsible, productive, quality human being, right?
Mhm.
Quality
Mhm.
as well.
Mhm.
So, that's really what it is. I mean, there's a lot to this whole thing, man. We're not, as much as you'll hear in conversations and shit, how everybody's just, oh yeah, I'm single, solo, this and that. It's like, dude, like societies are comprised of groups of people.
Yeah.
There's going to be interaction that happens. Now, what these interactions produce ultimately, how that manifests in said societies and communities, well, that's up to the people,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know.
Mhm. And it takes a lot of also demonstration for that to what you I'm picking up from what you were talking about with raising children.
Hmm.
Because a lot of times parents, right, there's so much busyness, right? They're working, then they're home, then they're doing whatever they have to do to make sure that the food and bathroom and sleep part are taken care of, and then do it all over again. So there's not that's in a pressed situation, right?
Hmm.
But a lot of people have had children under circumstances where that's just normal, right? And they don't have they don't have the time to venture into things that they like to do. I remember growing up, my mom was so busy. I came from a single parent home. I have a lot of family. However, just one parent in the home, and I'm an only child. It's just us and our animal friends. And like, so I saw my mom be busy as I don't know what, right? I saw her also complete a master's degree. I saw her do several different things that you something. And that right there was worth its weight in gold. She didn't have to tell me a lot of stuff. Of course she did, right? But she didn't have to, because I saw that. And I saw the fearlessness with which she went into it. And I saw that if she didn't want to do it anymore, it was okay. She just stopped doing it. It wasn't like she was being flaky or, oh, you can never complete it. It's always like there's this shame in trying a bunch of different things, but then there's this reverence for the Renaissance person.
Hmm.
Can't be both. And the only way to truly be a Renaissance person is to try a lot of different things. And we have a so-called finite physical time here. So let's look at the timeline. The human lifespan is 120 years. Yes, people live longer, and yes, people live shorter, but that is, last I checked, the documented human lifespan. There is not that's not that much time to be also forming other people and doing other things.
Right.
And also preparing yourself to create a legacy when one wasn't necessarily structured there in the beginning. We're dealing with a lot of things, and specifically, and even the people who aren't dealing with those things, the things they try out, it's because they have the money to try those things out, right? So the availability is there, and then they're geared towards, yeah, try this, try that, open up a sock company, see how you like that, whatever, things like this.
A
You
sock
know what I mean?
company.
And it's dumb shit. I was thinking of that, the Kardashian brother, like a bunch of assholes who have nothing better to do. And then, he's sitting there eating himself to death. And they're like, why don't you make some socks? You
Yeah.
know, and, but this is, see, it's the same plight,
Organic free range socks.
right?
No, I'm
He needs
sorry.
to eat them instead of whatever else he's eating. But yeah, but see, so it's like it's the same plight, right? But one side has the availability, the commerce, and then the time, I guess, and the other side doesn't, right? But the drive and the purity of the drive should be in either like it shouldn't be tainted because of the financial situation, but it is, because people have to sleep. They have to also take care of their responsibilities, and this is the joke of working 40 hours a week. I know we're not talking about this, but I do have to say this.
Hmm.
40 hours or more a week, like this work life structure. That's ridiculous for someone else. Now, okay, if this is something that is your own formation, you'd probably put a lot more than 40 hours a week into it. Guaranteed you would if it's going to do anything.
Who does
Especially
that?
but
Who does that better serve, the introvert or the extrovert?
which one? The
The
workhorse
40-hour,
work for me?
this
That's
yeah,
that's a really excellent question. Let
this
me think about that
strenuous
for a
work.
second.
You know, like who's more apt?
I'm gonna have to say the extrovert
I
because
okay, why? No,
yeah,
because that's what my thought was, but I want to know why you say that.
yeah, because remember that feeling you talked about where you need to kind of recoil and recharge after a
Hmm.
bunch of outward emotion stuff. I mean, energy stuffs.
Hmm.
Well, I think maybe the extrovert. Let's talk about pure energy. If extrovert is a thing, then they would get their energy from the outside, right? It's
Right.
not something inside that everyone's like, "Ooh, let me get some, you know, aka the introvert's life, okay? But then, so they want to be doing those things. They're forced to, right? They got to be there if they want to make the money. And then it gives them a social life. A lot of people's work is, their social life, and it gives them purpose, right? Meanwhile, I feel like that anytime I've done that, it was stealing from me. I remember every single time you need the job, I have done it. And I'm like, there's no way this is going to last more than like 2 months because I know for a fact I'm going to resent these people and they're trying to kill me.
I mean, dude, like you got the people, they literally go to the bar after work.
Yeah.
Like a group of them, they go right from there to the bar to get wasted. Like you guys literally got there at about 7:30, 8 o'clock this morning, and so now it's 5, and now you guys gonna go over there. And you're gonna kick it for another few hours and get wasted together, and then you're gonna go home, sleep, and then get up, and you guys can see each other tomorrow.
Listen,
Jesus,
I think
like,
I've gone
oh
to
man,
one work function ever, and I was doing some stupid job. The job was dope, actually. I was giving resources to people who lived in the projects, period. So I was doing, and I had to go around and talk to them and be like, oh, you need a license? Okay, this is how we'll do this. Oh, you want to go back to school? That type of thing. And they tried everything they could to get in the way of that, ironically enough. However, they always wanted like, oh, okay, we're going to be handing out turkeys. And it was one of those salary jobs. So it's like, oh, no matter what, you're getting paid this. Like, you got me fucked up. So
right?
I didn't mind handing out the turkeys and all that. But, after about 45 minutes to an hour, I'm out. Okay, I don't care what y'all think about it. And the only reason I went is because it was close by to where I live. Because now you're tapping into my energy, right? You're trying to turn me into something, and you're trying to steal from me. I have legacies to continue creating. And here you are trying to fuck it up and then throwing money in the whole equation. We're not doing that. So anyone who's okay with that, that's got to be an extroversion, because I don't quite understand it. And then maybe that now helps me really understand that I'm going to define myself as an introvert. What do you think?
I mean, seriously, dude. Like, it's a question that I've had to wrestle with, but I just really think that one can't really be fully one thing or the other unless you're like, okay, so let's just say, for example, if you are truly an introvert, that means that you are socially awkward as all get out for the most part.
You think so?
Yeah, because I still think that, like, you still have to have a level of social skills to be able to kind of meld into
Oh, I get what you're
society.
saying. So if the middle
Yeah.
ground is functional, then okay, I'm with you.
Yeah. If you're like super introverted, then yeah, I think that there's a bit of social awkwardness present.
Or like
And I
for some
think
people, the full thing would be autism or something like that, at the full end of the spectrum.
and I don't want to, maybe, I mean, that, okay, that, I don't want to imply that, but that's kind of, that could be reflective, right? But let's
And then
take
when I
the
said it, yeah, that was my comment, not his.
okay,
Yes.
but let's take the other side of the scale, right? So
Mhm.
you got people that literally cannot fucking stand to be alone.
Sure.
They struggle in silence with their own
Yes.
thoughts.
Yes, I know people like this. Yes.
Yo, right? That's like the other side of that equation. And so I think if you're fully one or the other, I think there's some issues.
Are we going to definitely agree that? Are we going to agree that the person who cannot stand to be alone is definitely an extrovert? Not at the whole end of the thing, but definitely would fall into that part.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's somebody who needs I okay. The first word that came to my mind is validation of others,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? So that's why there's always a lot of engagement. I can't imagine why somebody would. And this is maybe just my introverted self pondering this, right? I can't
Mhm.
imagine why somebody would always need to be around other people if it wasn't for the fact that they seek or they're seeking something from them in terms of an exchange of some kind.
Maybe distraction. Like, you know how when people have lost loved ones, even people who
Hmm.
don't really prefer to be around people all day, some of them will need to be around people. Maybe it's something like that. So maybe it could be also part of what you're saying too. I'm not saying only, but also it could be some stuff like, they're alone with their thoughts. Like some people have done some wild stuff, you know what I mean? And like the second that everyone leaves the room, that's the first thing they're thinking about. Like, the second they lay their head down, it's the first thing they're thinking about, first things they're thinking about.
Hmm.
So maybe some parts of that are distraction as well. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say no. I agree, Miss Reigning Woman. That's kind of what I was pointing to. We were talking about like on the extreme ends of of the spectrums, right?
Mhm.
What does like literally what does an introvert like if we were to just go
Mhm.
to the extreme, what does that look like? And
Mhm.
then to the extreme on the extrovert side, what does that look like, right?
Mhm.
Because our argument, or I think what we're both maybe making the claim or arguing here is that whether you're one or the other, if we are functioning members of society, we have to acquire, say, attributes of either or, depending on what we are, right? So if
Mhm.
you're introverted, you have to acquire extroverted attributes to some extent. Like, let's just say if you want to function in your professional realm or just, your relationships or what have you, being able to, like, say, attend an event or something and not
Mhm.
be weirded out by this, by the environment, right?
Mhm.
And then on the other end of the scale, it's like a person who's very sociable, very out there. But look, if this person cannot sit alone with their thoughts, like literally with no noise, no TV, no just literally quiet. And if that irks the shit out of you or bugs you, I would say that that person's not adjusted enough to where they can take a position where they can be self-reflective for some time and literally just
Mhm.
kind of be introverted, let's just say, right?
Mhm.
For their own like sort of mental health, like self health reasons, right?
Mhm.
So I would argue that whichever side you identify with, I think you need attributes of the other. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Absolutely true. So, do you think do you
Wait
think
a
there's
minute.
any
Wait,
yeah,
what is this?
what's that?
What is that ambivert?
What do you mean?
Look at that
All right, well,
comment.
apparently like ambidextrous, so both, or in the middle. Mhm.
Oh,
So she's
that's
saying
what
she
that's
leans towards
called.
wanting to be alone. So however that would be defined, but she would consider herself somewhere in the I didn't
Okay,
know
so
that was
that's
called. That's just my
I
guess.
didn't. Yeah, I didn't know. Well, maybe that makes sense. Is that what that's called? Raining women. You can confirm. Ambivert. Huh.
Mhm.
Okay.
I haven't
Well,
heard the term either. Yeah, but
I just learned. We just learned us something just
yeah.
now.
Mhm.
Miss
Mhm.
Raining women, you can let us know if that's what that is. Maybe ambivert. Maybe people should. Did I hear a kitty?
Yes.
I do. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. Ambivert. Okay.
Mhm.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. All right. Well,
Have you ever thrown a party? Oh,
have
sorry,
I,
were you about to say something?
you said, have I ever thrown a party?
But if you're about to say something, go with that.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
Okay, so have you ever thrown a party?
Yes.
Before you were okay, was it something that you decided to do, or is it something you were kind of like assigned to do? Not assigned, but like it was your responsibility to kind of do it, or was it something that you wanted to do?
Uh, okay, okay. So, nah, it was kind of a crew thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've never, the only thing I've ever done was have kickbacks. So, like, like homies and stuff like I used to like just skate and do music and stuff with. So there
Mm-hmm.
were these Saturdays where since like if nobody was working, they'd be like, "Hey, whose house are we having the kickback at?" And sometimes it was my turn. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody like you had to bring like beer. I didn't drink like vodka. I don't drink heavy liquor, right? So
Yes.
vodka and all that stuff. They would bring all that whatever, right? But everybody had to bring something, and then I'd have like the barbecue pit, my fridge, and all this whatever. So everybody show up, bring some shit, cook some shit,
Mm-hmm.
eat, drink, get on my little like I had a little gas powered mini bike, and fools be riding around drunk, crashing. So
Mm-hmm.
you know that, that was about as much as me throwing a party as I personally did. But
Mm-hmm.
then there was like the club promotion and all that. And that was part of like a collective and we all had like responsibilities. So back to that whole thing of just okay, well, it's a part of what I'm doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, in that regard, it was just like I did it with a bunch of friends, you know what I mean? But I wasn't the guy like that, no.
All right, so let's talk about when you were having the hangout sessions at your crib, not the organized club parties, okay?
Hmm.
So when people would come in, like let's say like after the first two, or how many was the maximum generally that would happen during these soirees?
What like the kickbacks at the crib?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, dude, maybe like it'd be like maybe 8 or 10 homies.
Okay. But these are people like you would see like every day and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, yeah, these are cats. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I guess it's a little bit different. Well, I remember one time. So there have been a couple times where yeah, we've done like joint things, right? Like okay, we're doing this for let's say two of our birthdays or close by or something like that. But I remember one thing that happened. I was 15 years old, and these ages are really important in this whole introvert extrovert paradigm and other
Yes.
stuff too, because you really kind of get the purity there, and you really make those decisions about like how you feel about these things. So like I told you, I always felt like I wanted to not miss out on stuff. And then so I figured, okay, well, this around this time, so that's what 1993,
Mhm.
that was like people were having like, okay, everyone's getting together outside, like at a park or something. My birthday's in the summer. Our birthdays are in the summer, what's up. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and like so I was like, okay, so I guess this is what I need to do because I didn't want to wait for someone else to do it because I didn't have that discussion. I didn't want it to be a flop, meaning the day of my birthday. So I was like, okay. So, and it typically had rained on my birthday for like 20 years straight, which I liked. But I wasn't even thinking about that. I was 15, And I remember
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, it's gonna rain. So I bought a rain suit. I'm like ready. And I'm all thinking it's all flies like this dope ass rain suit. Anyway, and I was shocked at how many people came, right? Because it was raining and we were outside and I was so moved and so touched. And the whole thing was very deep for me, right?
Mhm.
I had a lot of anxiety. I didn't realize it until, people came, but I had a lot of anxiety before it happened about who would not show up. I mean, I knew my best friends would show up, but what about the other people I wanted to? And so I learned that I'm glad I did it. I got out of my system. I was not interested in doing it the next year. And the whole thing was just kind of stressful. But then, of course, the beautiful part about it was that the love showing. I saw people came through. We sat in the rain. We're chilling. You know what I mean? So it was kind of
Yeah.
interesting. But it was a lot for me. And I thought, okay, so I'm going to choose at this point that that's not really what I want to do for my birthday. I'm supposed to be chilling, right? So if someone else wants to do something for me, that's great. Meaning some social gathering, I'll probably show up. But if not, like I'm just going to do exactly what I want to do. And if that involves other people, I will let them know. But if not, I'm going to be totally fine with that too. And I've tried different ones throughout the years. But, I mean, those are situations where it's like, I think an extrovert, a person who would lean towards extrovertism or think that has decided that's who they want to be, which goes to what you were saying before with how the world shapes you to kind
Right.
of lean more, right? They'll
Yeah.
keep going through that and just, you know what I mean? Like, why? And I think it's for the same reason, just to make sure they didn't miss out on anything. So I really get that. So is my mentality extrovertism because I'm thinking that way? Like, but
Well,
clearly not because I didn't want to anymore.
well, that's what I was gonna say, man. It's funny. I kind of had like the opposite. I never felt I was gonna miss anything because, like, in my head, I'm like, okay, I can't actually attend everything, so I'm gonna miss something. You know what I mean? So it was just sort of like, okay, well, there would be the things that I really wanted to go and do. Um, and I guess maybe that kind of made it easier for me to kind of like hone in on things that I really wanted to do. So for
Hmm.
example, you know, like I have buddies, they would just be doing all kind of shit. Yo, we're gonna go paintball. We're gonna go do this. We're gonna do this and do that. And I would just be like, yeah, dude, I'm good, man. You know what I mean? Like, damn, you don't ever do anything. I'm like, yeah, I do. And what it is, it was just the shit that I was into. So
Right.
you know what I mean? DJing, music production stuff. So it's not as
Hmm.
if I didn't do any, uh, it, see, that's where I'm kind of like, okay, I think there's a spectrum to all of this, right?
Yeah.
And I also think that if you really kind of hone in on the things that you're really into, you get really good at it.
Yes.
And
Definitely.
if you don't really spend a lot of time honing your craft, which means you spend a lot of time in some level of isolation, let's just say, right? So being okay, being alone, being frustrated. You heard me like sit over here sim racing and cussing at myself because I can't stay on the track, right?
Yeah.
But it's like if you spend hours doing the stuff, you'll stay on the track.
Right.
And that's something I haven't done in quite some time. But it's something that I'm really into, right? So I'll actually do it. Um, but uh, I do think that introversion does lead to or lend to being able to hone, say, a skill or a craft a whole lot more than if you don't really appropriate like time to yourself to kind of develop internal skill sets, right?
Hmm.
That's where I think that it actually is a positive to be that. And to kind of go back to what you were saying also, like um okay, like I didn't go to prom. All right, I didn't go to prom. Like I'm not even
Yeah.
sure
I think I lost service for a quick second. I missed the prompt thing.
wait, say that again.
I missed a couple of things you said at my service. I think something happened. I didn't hear you for a
Oh,
second. I didn't hear what you said about prom.
okay, yeah, I said I didn't go.
Uh huh.
I didn't go to my prom, right? Like um so there was actually like a hip hop event, right? They used to go on in LA back in the day called Unity.
Mm.
And I went there instead. Right? And you know what I mean? So it was like I went there. I didn't go to prom. So you know what I mean? And it's like I never really felt as though it's like I missed out or it's like, oh yeah, well, my mom, like, she hates the fact that she doesn't have prom pictures of me, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
No.
So it's stuff like that, but it's not like any sort of like regret that I have. um I don't know. I always felt like, okay, if I go and do something, that's because it's the experience that I want. Sounds kind of selfish. I don't know. It really
Nah. It
does.
sounds well adjusted.
Does it? Okay.
I
I
think so.
I think that's once again though, that's where you kind of like question yourself, like, okay, should you really be this hardcore about this type of shit, or like, or should you be a little bit more personable, a little more, you know, outgoing, and then you try it, and then you're like, fuck no.
Right. And as long as your mind is open to maximum comfort, life will give you what you need. So remember I was telling you I was obsessed with not missing out on things, right? But during the prom, so at that point, I'm 16, 17. I'm like, whatever. At that point, I'm really embracing this idea of like, I do what I want. And I'm
I,
like,
I do what
I
I
don't.
want.
Right, exactly. That was the intended tone. I'm glad you got it. Right? So I'm like, and this was my third high school I had gone to. And so it wasn't even like, it didn't even feel like my high school, even though it was kind of like the junior of the high school I'd left. So long story short, my best friend, who's still one of my best friends to this day, he's like, all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm not gonna go. So, and then plus they were charging mad money. I'm like, I don't even want to, I don't even like half these people. I was like, if it was text prom, it'd be different. So he was like, yeah, I feel you. So then all of a sudden, like about maybe an hour before it starts, he calls me. He's like, yo, he's like, let's go. He's like, my mom was like, she's gonna make sure that we go. Da da da. Like, I'm like, but what? So then my mom makes me an outfit, like a whole beautiful outfit, like really quickly, and we end up going. We had a
Nice.
good time, but I was really fine with not going. And then what happened? Life pulled me into going, and I'm happy I went. So you keep yourself open, things will happen, and it kind of works out the way it is. But if I had missed it, I didn't miss anything, but in my mind, I probably would have. I think it's different for girls, because in all these movies that we grew up seeing, like prom is like this huge thing, and so it's like, you know, like kind of like how we thought we were gonna have to go to confession, even though we're not Catholic. It's like you see people doing it, so it's like, am I gonna have to do this at one point? Am I gonna be in school one day? They'd be like, okay, it's confession time, guys.
I
Like,
know,
what?
right?
You
You
know?
like watch
And
those
so,
movies from the 80s and stuff, and you're like, dude, am I gonna have to do this?
right, right. Yeah. And so, but so
Uh-oh.
to really let you know what's going on there. You know, there are several things. You can't hear me?
No, there you go. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, okay, I thought I went out. I was gonna ask you, oh yeah, what do you think if you had to sum up the people that you consider your closest friends, would you consider them? And I know we're speaking at this point now, we're speaking on the definition of it being in the continuum still, right?
Yeah.
Do you think you're surrounded by mostly extroverts, introverts, or even both?
Huh. That's a really good question.
Thank you.
Okay, so gosh, what my okay. So are we talking about maybe say like back in the day when I was like around all my friends and stuff? Or are we talking about now?
What
Because
about
now
both?
I think
Very
nowadays,
different. Talk about both. Yeah.
okay, because I was gonna say nowadays I think most of the people I associate with for the most part is like, virtually, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
we're dispersed all over the place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then if it's people like in my immediate area, I mean everything's kind of like slow here. It's in the sticks and all that kind of stuff. There's not like anything crazy going on, so everybody kind of is very cordial and kind, and it's not really hustle and bustle, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I would say nowadays things are way more chill in terms of like the people around me and my interactions and engagements. Things are a lot different now. Back in the day, oh dude, most of the cats around me were hella extroverts.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I was kind of like one of the black sheeps of the crew, like given that I really wasn't like well, I was gonna say hoe chasing, but the homies call it hoe catching.
Right.
That they're like, no, we ain't chasing, we catching, bruh. You know what I mean? But I wasn't like getting all down like that. It was just, these were cats that I came up with from like middle school and high school and stuff, right? DJing and making beats, and then we went into adulthood, making music, producing, and all that, and promoting. Went into club promoting, and it was really like it wasn't like anything that we set out to do. It just kind of
Mm-hmm.
happened. You just
Mm-hmm.
found yourself doing the shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, doesn't necessarily mean that that's who I'm a club promoter. It was just like you were just doing it at the time, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, those dudes, a lot of my homies, yeah, they were hella like out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. It was cool. It
Like,
was cool to let them kind of shield me.
right, right. I feel like all the people I've considered close to me kind of had the same tendency as I, and what you seem to be saying too, in terms of kind of like leaning towards more introvertism, but being really good at social situations. Yeah, I would say, and you have awkward friends, but just generally speaking, like they're smart, they're witty. You know what I mean? They can carry great conversations, things like that. But mostly, I think we all prefer to just chill at home. Why does my forehead look so huge? And whenever it's in the little chat highlight,
Which
the head
one? The
detective,
one down here at the
that's
bottom?
like headquarters. Yeah, like
'Cause
it's like something
I think
happened.
it cuts that off for
Yeah, it looks crazy right now.
the way it cuts it off. It makes it look like there's an arrow or something.
Yeah, now I'm not going to be able to unsee the arrow.
See the arrow.
When I get around to, I'll do new pictures. It's just like, who got time for that anymore? It's like, this is not 2018, but I'll figure it out. But yeah. So I think they're all, but like my best friends, definitely mostly introvert. But we can talk all year. But and we love hanging out with each other. But when we hang out, we're indoors usually. So I think this is kind of an introvert. Like, if we want to start throwing traits around, like, let's do that, right? That might be fun.
Oh
So let's
gosh.
do a checklist. So for introverts, right? Maybe we go out or maybe we get together. That's what I should say. We socialize, but we like to be indoors, right? Introverts like to be indoors. I don't know. What do you think? But I mean, we like outdoors, but I'm talking about in terms of like, would you prefer to go to a club, or would you prefer to hang out with your friend playing video games and chilling? You know what I mean? Something like that.
Oh my gosh. What? Um. God,
Wait, I missed what you said.
I haven't said anything yet. I'm trying to answer that question.
Oh,
I'm really
okay.
thinking about it because you know what? Nowadays it's like I'm with my daughter so much.
Hmm.
You know, so I'm really kind of always. Her and I are gonna go do something, right? You know, or we'll go do something. You know what? Matter
Yeah,
of
it's
fact,
different with children because you gotta like make sure they're out and they get to do stuff outside and get to see the world.
yeah. But
Yeah, like that's a big thing.
she's very much introverted too.
Right, right.
And you know, so that's why. But she does cheerleading, right? So she has to kind of balance that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so she's been doing cheerleading since she was like about 3 or 4 years old. Well,
Mm-hmm.
like 4 years old.
Yeah, that's
So
so.
you know, that's to kind of keep the balance there. You know
I'm
what I
just
mean?
imagining like a little 4-year-old cheerleader. That's got to be the cutest thing ever.
It is the cutest thing. I'll have to send you a picture of it of her. My mom sent me a picture. She like it's maybe like about 2 months ago. She was like, "Do you remember this?" And I was just like, "Oh my god, don't send me. I cannot. I can't right now.
Right, right, right.
I'm getting too old." But you know, it's like kind of like just it being her and I for the majority of her life. You know, she can be real daddy. You know, real clingy. So you have to balance that by putting her, you know, in kind of like a activity where there's a huge crowd and there's a group and there's all this stuff where she has to kind of like soak all of that other stuff in to balance
Mm-hmm.
things out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, nowadays, you know, well, we'll see how much longer this goes because she's getting older and she'll probably want to start hanging out with other people and not her dad here in the not too distant future.
Yeah, she'll still
So
want to hang out with you too.
no, yeah, totally, totally. But if she's gonna be like, Dad, I'm gonna go here, I'm like, oh, really?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I was thinking we go get some ice cream, but okay. Yeah,
Aw, don't say it in that
no,
voice.
I did that for effect. I'm glad it worked. That's good. You know, I can
Yeah,
do a
it
little
did. I'm
act.
about to go cry for 5 minutes. It definitely worked.
Well, hey, let's do this. We're coming up on an hour. You want to
Sounds
take a little
good.
chief break, and I want to boil. I want to get some more tea.
Surely.
Is that cool? Cool.
Yup.
All right. So, yo, check this out. We're gonna do this. I'm gonna just type this in real quick. Intermission. All right. So we're gonna have a quick little intermission. My kiddo did also. She just got back from the Nutcracker, so I'm gonna go just check in with her and see how that was.
Yeah, take your time. Just get back whenever you
Yeah,
get
yeah,
back.
yeah.
And if
So,
I come back before you're back, I'll just start talking. And then whenever you come back,
all right. So in the meantime, if any of you guys want to go get some tea or smoke some weed or something, um,
those
please
are
feel
your
free.
only two choices.
Yeah, I know, right? There's only two choices. All right, we'll be right back.
Okay.
Shopify's point of sale system helps you sell in person at every stage of your business. From fast, secure payments to card readers you can rely on. Wherever you sell, businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up today at shopify.com/YouTube audio.
All right, I'm back, y'all. I don't think Complex got back yet. So here we go. I thought this might be a good time to check out what you all were saying in the chat. I was seeing some comments, but not with enough attention. So I'm gonna scroll up a little bit and start from there. But peep this. Wait, hold on. I found at times that socializing. Oh, wait, hold on. I don't do the world often. Okay, let's start here. Adam says, I don't do the world too often. Introverted to the max. Mela says, have found that at times socializing is overrated. AO says, but peep this. What is the difference between being introverted and having social anxiety? Mela says, I guess one is choice, introvert, and the other is fear-based anxiety. Interesting. So social anxiety. So like, I guess that let's say there would be two types of social anxiety. One is like the normal kind of feeling that a person gets when they're going to do something that requires a lot of like maybe perfection or something like that. And they may have a little bit of anxiety or angst or a little bit of ampness, however they process it. Maybe that's the difference. So for some people, it processes as getting amped. And for some other people, it processes as getting anxious. But I think there's a very fine line there where there's something that's like both of that somewhere there, right? But if it's anxiety, my voice is a little hoarse, y'all. If it's anxiety, maybe because they don't want to do the thing, right? Maybe that's part of it. Not just that they want to be perfect doing it. Maybe they just don't want to do the thing. So then that would make, I guess, a more introverted type of thinking. But then there's the other part, which they may want to do the thing and then want to just make sure it's good or that they're okay, they're not being judged or whatever. Maybe that may be a more introverted thing. Both fear, I definitely agree with fear-based. Thank you, Charles, for the nice comment. Hey, I was reading the chat.
Okay.
And then Jay Charles says, I think it's an expression of emotional intelligence. One is an expression outward while the latter is inward. That's really interesting. So that really does to the idea of, you know, the continuum springing from all the same place, kind of where it runs. And it also falls into what we were saying about it being shaped by the world. how you associate with it and what your desires are, where those meet, and how functional is it all, or how malfunctional is it all, dysfunctional is it all,
Right.
It
I
makes a lot
mean,
of.
yeah, that's kind of that's I don't know. I think what we're all trying to do maybe here is like seek balance.
Mhm.
I think like like okay, they say, being a balanced individual, right? So
I just saw that comment. Not a sandwich.
wait.
Sorry.
Oh, this one right
That's funny.
here. Mela, she says she's gonna go toke up since it's legal.
What? Oh,
Hey,
shit.
hey, you know what?
About to get
I'm not
open.
gonna I'm not gonna tell you not to.
Listen.
Just do that. I'm not gonna tell you not to. Mm.
Sorry. But
Um, but yeah,
yeah.
being like a balanced individual. You know
But
what I
you know
mean?
what's real interesting too? Oh,
So
sorry. Go ahead. No. I thought you were finished. Go ahead.
oh no, I was just saying, so I think what that means is kind of taking our natural proclivities into account,
Mm-hmm.
because I think people I do think that people have a natural disposition. Okay, and I think experiences, whether familial, like in the home, or social or otherwise, do kind of shape it. But I think we do have kind of like core dispositions, even as babies. Some babies are like really bubbly, and then some babies are really just kind of reserved, and they just like stare at you.
And that's usually
Yeah,
associated with intelligence, interesting enough,
yeah,
right? So it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like, that's a whole nother kind of spring off. Is one group more intelligent than the other? I dare ask that question.
I
But
mean,
before I ask that question, I'm going to ask it.
yeah. Go ahead.
Um, I find it interesting how the chat mostly is considering leaning towards introvertism, and we're all here talking, right? And also, something someone said was something about the world being the way it is, so that people. I'm paraphrasing. I'm trying to find it while I'm saying it, but he said something. He or she, I think it was a guy, said something. It might have been Adam or AO, said something about basically the world, people out in the world being shit, and that sort of making people not want to socialize, and
Hmm.
that goes along with what you were saying with the world, kind of shaping this. But also, that's a huge thing, though. That's a really important cog here in this whole thing, because some people, like, they're man, just this week there have been several times where I'm like, man, I just want to relax and enjoy whatever it is I'm doing. Here comes some asshole doing something assholish. Maybe not to me, somewhere around me, somewhere where now I have to like see it, or maybe it even might be to me, or
Hmm.
try to be to me, and it'll usually be the small things where it's like those things shouldn't even be of consequence. For example, everyone knows I love to, I don't know what I'm saying. I always love to talk about the cashiers at stores, and how, they always go from like, either they're like extra nice where they like want to hug you, and I don't need all that, or they're so surly and fucked up. And it's like, yo, can't y'all just press buttons and keep it moving? This is what I'm trying to figure out. So things like this, it's like, you want to go out and chill, you want to go look around stores and chill, and then, things happen, and it's like, it reminds you of, the same that you always get reminded of. But I don't think that changes people, though. Let me expound just a little. I think it does change people's opinions about groups and the generality of people. I don't think it changes the habitual way they move. Maybe instead of going to Walmart, they might order online. Okay, so in that part, yeah. But in terms of like, I'm not gonna stay in my house because people are jerks. So while I really do understand what the person said there's got to be a line where that doesn't control movements, right? And it's like, and I get it, because then at certain points and learning points in life, it seems like there are these constant sort of discords, trying to like get away from that. But several perspectives can be taken. One is that if a person is thinking about that a lot, it's going to happen. I've had this discussion with someone, and I think that is part of it, but I don't think that's all of it. I think that a lot of people really are assholes, and they're very, very needy, and they're very poor at socializing. And you mix all of these things together, and I hate to quote a movie, but I'm going to. We're always bringing up movies we don't want
Hmm.
to. But that Crash movie, which I thought was a shit movie, but the idea of people purposely crashing into each other just to have some sort of connection. And I get that that's an old understanding, but it's like the crash part is the part I'm more interested in, because it's different. That's different than an exchange. That's different than going up to someone and saying,
I was gonna say, dude, like, why does it have to be a crash?
But that's what it's become. And like and a lot of it goes to how we're socializing, social media shit. You know, there's a lot of distance created, but it's not only that. There's this thing of like everything's going forward. You know, can you keep up? And I think a lot of disenfranchised people feel like, you know, when you go into places like stores, all these worlds are colliding. You know, let's Walmart, you've got billionaires going into Walmart, maybe not nowadays, maybe they're ordering, but you've got very wealthy people walking into Walmart and very poor people walking into Walmart, right? And a lot of the anger that people have is when they see happiness in other people. And a lot of what people associate happiness with is money or beauty or something that they think is coveted that they feel that they don't have. But a lot of it, I think, is money, right?
I was gonna say, I think what it is that they look at other people and they see something that they lack, right?
Right.
Because think about
Exactly.
it. Think about it, right? Like, you could let's take that scenario you just said, right? A person, they look at a guy and he looks like rich or something, right? He looks like he has money, and so, you know, I guess what? So what we're supposed to take away from this is that this guy just has it on an easy street, right?
Well, that's what disenfranchised people think, because they think that that's the one thing missing. So now they feel like they get to go bump into them or push in front of them or just be real nasty, like they can't get knocked out in the store.
Or I mean, or let's look at it on the other side of it, right? Like, you know, do you really? That dude could have probably just lost his dad, lost his mother yesterday,
Exactly.
and he's in a really fucked up state. And you know what? He's literally just there, just trying to hold it together. And here you are, over here.
See what I'm saying? This is how people get knocked out in stores. Right? This is exactly what I'm saying.
You know,
I don't have, so now I get to take from you. No. And this does make people have more introverted behaviors. I found myself ordering a lot more. I love walking around stores and looking. I don't love the people in the stores. And I get why when people are celebrities, why they clear out at everybody from the store. I used to think that was so weird. I was like, why can't they just ignore people or whatever? Nah, y'all just get
people are not going to ignore them.
Let me look around this store with none of y'all around. I love it. Sounds wonderful.
Yeah. It's like, look, I have no problem ignoring you. The issue is, can you do the same?
And it's different with guys, I think, because and I've had this conversation in several different ways with men, and this is why I think it's different with men. But you can tell me your opinion if you want. I think these social discords, it seems to be kind of more prevalent with the attention given it with women. And sometimes people will say, peace, Senku. I would type it, but since I was in the middle of speaking, but I started since people are like, I think maybe, I don't know. Is it because maybe there's less of an idea that it will equal a fist fight between guys, and so women feel more comfortable with egregious behaviors? Maybe. I don't know. I want to hear your take as a guy.
So wait. I want you, preface that again.
So this idea of like social discourse happening more with women, and how like this idea of just ignore them, like you were just saying just before, just ignore them, things like that, right? And on paper it makes perfect sense, like, and I agree with you. But a lot of strange things happen from my experience, really strange things. And when I've experienced, these are my experiences. So when I go into new experiences, those are my reference points, right? So I'm trying to head things off at the past. And there are different ways of doing that. Sometimes it's retreat, sometimes it's aggression, it just depends on the situation. But I found that guys don't often understand why energy is put into it like that. And I think they also don't understand because of how ugly some women will try to take these situations. Meaning like in a store, right? You could be minding your business and some really crazy, no, let's take the train. It's a better example, because this has happened several times with me and many people I know. You'll be minding your own business and some real ugly girl or some real stupid, like, mad, angry woman will try to bump into you getting off the train. And there's no reason for it to happen. So let's just take that situation for 1 second, right? what are the reasons why someone would do that? One, maybe it was an accident, right? They didn't see you. Maybe those are two different reasons. Three, you remind them of somebody they don't like. Is 4, you're in their way and they don't have time to say excuse me, or they don't want to say excuse me. Maybe 5 or whatever, they feel like you're being aggressive by you being there because they think you see them, right? So you see what I'm saying? There's a lot of room for different things to be present. And because I'm thinking this way, it should be assumed that I'm not going into a situation wanting to knock somebody's head off because they're doing something like that. Fair?
Yeah.
Right? But why there, after things happen and you start to see a pattern, then you start to be like, wait a minute, I see what's going on here. This is not any of those things. This is some asshole who wants to take out the fact that they feel like you're happy or you have something that they don't have. And now they want to just for 1 second give you some misery. And they wonder why they just got knocked out of the train.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I've dealt with the shit like is in this YouTube thing where it's just sort of like there are things that have been said to me, people that have trolled, and it's just for the life of me, I never understood why the fuck they would do it. Right.
So do you think this happens as much with men as women?
I think. Yeah, but I think it permeates differently. I think it's done differently. I think it manifests differently, but I do think it's probably equal. I would even say maybe even like women probably do it more than guys do.
Right. And so this is why we get so amped up about certain things, because we just want to chill, and then we see, oh my gosh, is this about to happen again? Something like that. Because after some time on Earth, you get to pick out, you get to see what's going to happen. Let me give you an example. I think this will be best served by one. This is about maybe like 6 years ago. And I was in the store with one other person, a woman, and minding my own business. And I was like towards the back of the store. And I heard this woman come into the store and she was being very loud. And I instantly knew that I needed to stay away from that person. I just knew it. Okay. So that's exactly what I did. I went out of my way. And this is one of the very few times I've ever done anything like this. And it's crazy what happened. I went out of my way to avoid her. What do I mean? I mean, every time I heard her voice getting closer, I would go somewhere else in the store, specifically to stay away from her, right?
Yeah.
So let's say I'm in the store for about another 10 minutes after this loud voice comes. And I'm at the cashier. I don't see her. I'm like, good. Okay, I'm gonna check out, be out. I don't have to see this person. That energy, I don't want to be anywhere near it. Here she comes. And she got there so fast, Complex. How did she get so damn fast? Standing right behind me, right? Now, the counter is small, kind of. It's like one of those little regular stores. The counter's kind of small. And she's carrying stuff that she could easily just hold and wait. But now she got to put some big-ass cart into something, right? Like, she's doing it so aggressive that if I don't move, she's going to bump into me. Now I have a choice here. I'm thinking, look at this fucking bitch. I fucking knew it, right? And I'm not moving. Who is she? I'm not, I have that approach to take, or I can move and just hope it stops there. And that's what I did. It was a little bit difficult for me, but I did. I moved, and I moved my stuff over. Do you know that this crazy bitch put her stuff there and banged her carton into my stuff? And I said, and I went off. I lost it. And I said, you did everything you fucking could. You Amazonian, gargantuan, old, washed up hoe.
Okay. Listen, I was going to say something about, I'm actually not going to say that because you just said that. So I'm going to leave it alone.
Now, right. And some people could argue, well, maybe you made it happen. I'm willing to discuss that aspect of it. Okay. But let's hold that to the side for 1 second.
Uh-oh.
Did your mic? That it didn't attract it to me because it was so adamant.
Your mic dropped for a quick second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it okay now? So I think I should be bestowed a little credit in the situation because as you see, I went out of my way to avoid it. So somebody could still say you still gave more material to it. Again, I'd be willing to discuss that. However, now when keeping it real goes wrong. And so then And I went berserk. And I said, you know, you can't even mind your business and come to a store without some hoe mad because she can't be a hoe anymore. I went off. So they were like, ma'am, because this is in the South, you're not allowed to curse in stores. You know, she's like, ma'am, the cashier is like, ma'am, everything's okay. Don't worry, da 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 da. And I'm like, okay. And I'm trying to calm down. And then the woman continues to go. It gets to a weird situation. The police come. Okay, nobody got hit or anything like that.
Jesus.
But she continued, and I continued to curse because this woman was giant. It's always some giant asshole too. I didn't want her to come and like think this is going to become a physical situation. So every time I felt her turning up a little bit, I had to let her know, like, look, I'm trying to keep peace here, but please don't misunderstand. You can get knocked out in the store, okay? So I just kept it, you know, like whatever. But do you see what I'm saying? That's a very weird situation. And
I'm gonna tell you. See,
happens to women all the time.
I'll tell you. I'm
Every
gonna tell you
woman
like
is-
this.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm
Now
gonna tell you like this.
tired.
I assume it's just like, you know, when I take my daughter out and we go riding scooters and all this type of stuff, and you know, we'll go ride for some miles or something, right? And she's always just like, you know, this is dangerous. And I'm like, listen, you know, what you have to do is be aware of your surroundings. This isn't like I'm trying to teach you some sort of moment, or I'm just saying this is something that I've
No, listen.
yeah, totally. You know, with my daughter and stuff, you know, I'm like, listen, you always are gonna have to be aware of your surroundings. I'm not trying to like make you like some, you know, sniper hunter type of person, but I'm just saying, like, when you're riding on a scooter or something like that, you always want to be pivoting your head every 5 to 6 seconds. Just peek to your left, peek to your right, always look around, and then keep your head forward.
Mhm.
You know. And so by doing this, you keep a constant spatial awareness of what's going on around you constantly, right?
Mhm.
Even you go into a store, and I was trying not to go there with a joke about size, but I was gonna say, like, just kind of go on the notion that, you know, if you're dealing with something that big,
There's something.
you're dealing with you know, yeah, something, right? If you deal with kind of something like that, you know, things occur like bumping and stuff, right? Because they just don't really have the spatial
Always
awareness.
stand in the middle of the aisle. And then
Yeah,
someone-
you know, you're gonna have to just,
now
you
you're trying to
know,
run you over with them damn carts. I think they got horns on them things. I don't know what's going on.
yo, but no. I mean, I'm joking, but I'll tell you right now, man. What I do is I try to like blend in with the scene as best as possible. I have like headphones in my ears when I go to the store and stuff, and then just like I'll know if somebody's trying to talk to me. Otherwise, anybody else that I don't care to talk to, it's just like, I don't hear you.
I feel like that's so much easier for guys. Like, I get it. Like, I really get it. And I've literally put shells around myself, like turtle thickness of the turtle shells around all over the place. And usually when I do that, it's rare because I ain't got time for all that. But I'm talking about like the more than normal, reinforcement. And then it's like, you know, usually it'll be, people will still do it, but it will be less aggression. It'll be more like, oh, hey, you know, like, what do you think about this? Or like, you know, it's always something. How do I get to this? I'm totally okay with that part though. Like I've just resigned to like, that's just the way it is. But the other stuff, you know, it's weird because a lot of it is just one exchange. And there's nothing wrong with saying, and I'm sure a lot of women have had this experience too, where other women will come up to them and say, you're so pretty, or you smell so good. What is that you're wearing? Or I love your outfit. And like, clearly they want to connect, but they're doing it in a normal way. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Even if it feels needy, there's still nothing wrong with that. But like, yeah, it's the aggression that there's an issue with, you know. And so I would also want to argue about how do extroverts and introverts differ and how they protect themselves or how they deem protection. Because I think that a lot of the ways that I protect myself, and this has been since I can remember, has been very extroverted. And so much so that I've seen the look of shock on people's faces several times from the reaction that they've gotten from me. It's at this point more than not. And I think that because the energy red is so different, there's this, you know, this sort of in my own world type of thing, very aware, but in my own world. And then all of a sudden it's all out, it's busting out at the seams. Can an introvert properly protect themselves if they don't know how to do that? Because I've seen a lot of people be out here be marks, and again, I don't have time for that. And I think sometimes there's a lot of proactivity, not all the time, just sometimes there is a lot of proactivity involved with keeping a protective field around you, especially because with women, and I hate to keep saying this whole women men thing because I know people do this all the time, but it's kind of fun to do sometimes. We're thinking of the threats from women and men. Guys are usually just thinking about the threats from other guys, if at all. It's a very different existence. So if you're not able to really kind of head things off the pass in a certain way, people will test you and it'll get to the physical part at that point. I'm not getting hit first, okay? I'm not going to be a mark. It's just not going to happen. And do people walk around with chips on their shoulder because of this? They damn well should. Yeah, they should. Because a lot of other people have been victims to things, and I'm sorry for that, and I hate that for them. I can't deal with that. You know what I'm saying? And I've grown up hearing these things, and I refuse.
Well, I would say this, right? Like, well, I think it mirrors. So men also deal with the same thing, but they deal with the threats from women also. It's especially nowadays, right? It's real. You seeing a whole bunch of dudes getting like lawsuits popped on them and stuff, right? And that's not to say that those lawsuits may or may not be warranted. I'm just saying, right? Like there's a threat from things that men may do or in how they've engaged with women. There could be some sort of repercussion that comes from that. Much in the same way where, you jerk a dude on some bread that you owe him, and he's gonna see you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it cuts both ways, right, with men and women. Like I think the threat is there on both sides from both sexes, right? But when you're talking about like how does maybe say like an introvert protect themselves, I'll tell you like this, man. Like with me, like I said, I've always been the type person who literally like I'm like a tree outside. That's how I blend in, or at least I try to blend in. I'm like a part of the tapestry. So in that sense or in that regard, no one's really like looking at you, right? Or they look at you, but they look at you like they look at the trees or the sidewalk or the asphalt or the stop sign.
And
You
you
know
do
what
this
I'm
on
saying?
purpose?
Huh?
You do it on purpose?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what like just kind of coming up, like especially like where I grew up and stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, when niggas was banging, you had the essays banging. Everybody, damn near every group was banging. They all had their shit going on in the streets and stuff, and didn't matter where you were, different parts of SoCal and stuff. It could be popping off depending on where you were at,
Mm-hmm.
and so you just had to learn how to like blend in.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
like
think guys blend in more in general, and women blend in less. And socially, like that's kind of how it is, even with the whole outfits and makeup and hair and all that stuff. So maybe that's part of what's happening there. This is interesting.
Yeah, it's like at least from an introvert's standpoint, anyway. My perspective, yeah, it was always about blending in, right? That reduced. I mean, it didn't matter. You were a male, so growing up back then, it was scraps was bound to happen. It was gonna
And then
happen.
plus when you blend in, people don't want to try to knock you down a peg, right? It's almost like they're feeling like you're showing them an automatic respect by not trying to like peacock in their view. This is interesting.
Yeah. But then again, like you could even do that, and somebody's still gonna try to like test you, right? That used to happen too. No matter how much or how good you were at it, you just had niggas that was gonna pull up on you on some like this nigga think he this, he think he this, he think he that. Mess around and just get like the best grade in class. Motherfucker want to fight you because you done set the curve too high. Now this nigga got a D instead of a C or some shit. Like little petty type shit. But then when you get older as an adult, now I'm out like doing shit again, like out in the streets, doing shit in the clubs and stuff like that. And so it's like now you got niggas just like kind of like just really like irritated by your presence because of like the fact that you do something else in the music scene and they kind of perceive you as like kind of maybe having a little more power than they got. It used to be like microaggression type shit. right? That will turn into a full blown scrap once motherfuckers got some juice in they system. You know what I mean? They done
Mm-hmm.
had a couple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just like, man, fuck this nigga, man. Let me go see him real quick. You know, dude, I'm telling you, and it was just,
Real quick.
yeah. As much as you try to just sort of like blend in and shit, it's like, look, motherfuckers gonna be mad at you just for doing what you do, even if you keep to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So
That happens a lot here.
yeah, no, for real, I'm serious, right? And so it's just sort of like these are things that you know, we can't avoid everything in life ultimately.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We just simply can't. And so that's when it's sort of like you have to be equipped to deal with the shit when somebody wants to bring the shit to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I'll tell you like this, the type of dude I am, I'm like, I'm chilling until I'm not. And I'm like,
Right. Exactly.
if I didn't pull up on you on some dumb shit, I don't expect you to pull up on me on some dumb shit. Because
Exactly. And if you do, then
yeah,
yeah,
once you do that, you just violate, and then it's on from there, right?
exactly.
So I'm thinking like, okay, that's a code. I think if we all kind of abided by it,
Thank
there
you.
there really wouldn't be no bullshit.
Thank you. Is that like don't start no one be no? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So what's the problem?
yeah.
Exactly.
That's how I've always rolled with it, you know. So
Yeah.
I, you know,
That shouldn't be difficult. I mean, I've worked in like settings where you really get to see how, like, let's take the group home setting, a very interesting setting, right? And there you can definitely see like the Lord of the Flies type social hierarchy. I'm not making fun of them. I'm just saying it is very base like that. You know what I mean? But there's always a very clear understanding of what's respect and what's not. You know what I mean? Like nobody's ever getting that confused because they have to have it that way. And everyone knows that the other person can't really hurt them. You know what I mean? It's a controlled environment. But there's still this very kind of clear understanding, even when they don't have to have it. And that's a situation where everyone's trying to prove themselves extra. You know what I mean? Now, if they can
right,
manage to figure that out, I'm pretty sure adults in the free world, because group home's not a free world, can figure this out. And this brings me back to the question. So when people are starting something, what are their reasons? You know what I mean? And I'm still married to the idea that oftentimes I think it's to try to, get off their anger on a person if they'll let them. But then again, I'm still coming from the perspective. You and I were talking the other day about seeing passed away animals on the street,
yeah,
the road. And I told you I had understood by something you said that you felt that most of that was done purposely. And I had just kind of assumed, I thought of that, but I thought that most of them were accidents.
hmm,
And so thinking of those two perspectives, right, still giving the benefit of the doubt to people, me, right, in that situation, and you're not, but then the other part giving the benefit of the doubt to the flow of things. So it's kind of interesting to see how those thought processes crash, because really what we're saying there is that if there's a threat, then, or if there's a perceived threat, then any way that it's handled is understood if it's coming from the perspective of the person who did not start it.
right,
Right.
yep.
And I think that's clear. It's never unclear who started something. Never. You know what I mean? So that worked.
I mean, you know, and there's always that whole sort of, well, you know, there's this side, that side, and then there's the truth, right? But I don't know. There's certain things though that I think that are just readily avoidable. And you
Mm-hmm.
know, just to kind of speak to that whole thing about, you know, seeing animals like, you know, dead in the road, often, most of the time it's because somebody hit it with a vehicle, right? and
Mm-hmm.
and so and that's kind of like the thing that really irks me is because, you know, yeah, you have sadistic ass people that literally want to just take some sort of frustration out on an animal by hitting it, or just, you know, they just kind of do this whole thing of like, all right, if you don't move, right, and they just smack, and they just don't give a shit because they don't really kind of have that sort of presence of mind to just understand that that's a living organism,
Mm-hmm.
right, that's gonna feel that to some extent before it dies, right,
Yeah.
unless it's not like instant on impact. But it's when I see it, it's sort of like, okay, s- somebody either wasn't paying attention or didn't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, it's the car. Like, dude, there's been times that there's been a dog that's been out on the road, and, you know, it just kind of may be disoriented or not really sure where it is. It's lost or something.
Right, several times, yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm
I'm
gonna do
going
is,
down my window and go home, Papa.
yeah,
Where you
get
going?
them off the road, man. I'm not gonna just be like, all right, if you don't move out of the way, it's your ass. You
Nah,
know what I
that's
mean? I'm gonna like, hey, come here,
But
get
what
off.
about deer? Them dudes literally will run into your car. Like they run into people's scooters. They're out of control.
Well, okay, so deer is that's a whole other because I don't see them around.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's
I don't see the deer. I don't see the deer around.
I couldn't believe that, because you have deer in upstate New York, but it's not serious like that. Because I did a lot of driving upstate New York, never had. I probably saw a couple standing on the side of the road, but down south, no, they will literally run. It's like they do this weird thing where they try to commit suicide. It literally seems that way. And two
Is life
situations
that
I
awful?
don't know. I don't know if they're dumb or I don't I don't know what's going on. Because you would think they were attracted to what they were doing. Sometimes it's that they started the run already and they can't stop. You can tell that's what it is too.
Yeah,
But
well, there's that whole thing they say like a deer caught in headlights. So I think there might be some sort of catatonic state
that's
that
when like they
they
just
go
stop.
into. Yeah, they kind
They'll
of
just
freeze
look
and
at
then
you and they're right.
yeah.
But sometimes they'll run out and they time it. It's almost like they're purposefully trying to get hit. It's just the strangest thing. But
Huh.
after seeing that, maybe that's why I assume a lot of them are accidents.
I have
And
something.
also plus my personal experiences with accidents with accidentally running, not dogs or anything, thank God. But like just wild animals who are maybe disoriented and just because of the speed, I don't see them. Like a lot of different things have happened. But go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I heard something very interesting recently. That a kangaroo is a deer that's gone to prison.
Oh yeah, we were yeah, because I've been for the past few years I'm convinced that something's up with kangaroo, but after I saw this video of this kangaroo trying to drown a dog, I knew, and by the
Yeah,
way he was cut up, I knew that there was some human stuff going on in that
just
kangaroo.
something
Just
that
a bunch
I think some deer made it into some sort of lab, and then I think something happened, and then the result got out
yeah,
because kangaroos, like I said, it's it's like a deer that's been just pushing weight, man.
yeah. And then like what like why is this kangaroo trying to drown this dog? He's not trying to fight the dog. He's holding this man's head underwater like on Fatal Attraction trying to drown this cat. I couldn't believe what was going on. And the man was like, let go my dog. And they started fighting and stuff. And then the kangaroo scratched the mess out of the guy, but he knew what was up and he bounced just like dudes from prison do. So yeah, you
Yeah,
have a point there.
yeah. I literally think um, there's been some experimentation with say like max security prisoners and deer, and they've created this chimera called a kangaroo.
And that's
This is my
exactly what
theory.
they look like, man.
Yeah, Rain Woman said don't mess with them. So let's see. We're at an hour and 37. What say you? What do you want to do? Like, do we have any closing thoughts? Are we trying to drop a link, or what's going on?
We could drop a link. I don't have closing thoughts. I feel like sometimes I feel uncomfortable with closing thoughts if I didn't say anything, but if I feel like I was able to kind of check off the things I wanted to say at the time, then closing thoughts make me feel like maybe I didn't make my point clearly enough.
No,
So
no, no, no. That's what I'm literally just trying to say. Like, hey, how far do you want to go? We keep going, dude. I'm
what do you
chilling.
want to do?
Dude. This is your live stream. Well, it's not your live. I don't want to put it on you like that. But I don't. We can drop the link. I was just gonna go re-up on this tea.
Yeah, go take another break. I'll do the same. I'll be chilling here though.
Okay, right here. I'll drop the link then, and then we can just chop it up, and then let some other introverts come up here
Okay.
or something. All right, hold on.
All
All right,
right.
we'll be back, y'all.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I'm still here though, guys. I'm just
Okay,
chilling for a second. Yeah.
all right. There's the link.
Yeah, I used to think kangaroos were mad cute, and I was like, why is it that Madagascar and Australia and New Zealand have such a seriously different ecosystem? So I was fascinated with kangaroos, the whole pouch thing, and then the kids are the Joeys, they're mad cute, like it's just. But then, after these shorts have come along, I've really got to see what they're all about, and I'm not feeling it. But yo, the kangaroo, seriously, let me tell you what happened with the dog. So it starts where it's already happening, right? So we don't see how it started, but this kangaroo is holding the dog's head at the head under the water, like literally serial killing or killing, murdering. Why would this kangaroo be doing that? Because if he wanted to eat him, that's not how he would do it. That's going to be a waterlogged kill. That's not what animals do. So, yeah. And I was saying, actually, we were talking about this before. Let me make this point. So we know Australia used to be a penal colony. So not only, I mean, there were already people in Australia, right? The Aborigines. And arguably another native tribe, like who look more like Pacific Islanders, like Papua New Guinea people. Anyway, the Samoans kind of. So, but think about this. So if England and Ireland are throwing their trash, and Scotland and Wales are throwing their trash in Australia, these people are nuts, right? Because we already know they're already crazy. So they're throwing the nuts away. Now you got a whole colony of these folk. You know darn well they're fucking animals. Excuse me. You know darn well they're engaging in sex with those animals. And maybe after all this time, this is how we get things like the kangaroo and stuff like that. I mean, it's not the craziest thought. You know, you got people saying that we had a big-headed scientist mixing things together. I'm willing to listen to that. So y'all can listen to that. Shoot. Oh, not only will they try to swap hands with you, they will. And they'll knuckle up. They'll scratch and they'll fight, like with fists. So they go from being like a mad gay guy to like an actual boxer. They're nuts. Oh, you saw that short too, Rainy Woman? Yo, that was crazy. That thing haunted the back of my thoughts for like a good week and a half. You know? But what's up, Spawn? So yeah, every time I think of Spawn, I think of how my friend and I always agreed on what the dope comic books were. But I didn't fuck with Spawn. And I wanted to for obvious reasons. You know, he's black. Like the artwork was awesome. I didn't like the story. I didn't like the idea that why the first major black character in this time frame, now he's like half demon or devil or whatever. There are a lot of things I didn't like about Spawn, but my friend told me that he was surprised because I usually knew what was up. But apparently I missed something with the Spawn thing. Kind of interesting. So some people have been asking me my thoughts about some of the craziness that's going on. And, you know, just generally speaking with certain people on YouTube right now. And I think it's just sad. It's shameful. You know, I'm not going to act like, oh my gosh, I can't believe people are doing this for obvious reasons. I can't do that. But I think it's very sad because I'm seeing people get all the way out of their body and behave very unlike who they are. And I feel sad for them because I would think after a few years, there should be just evolution. There shouldn't be further dishonesty and further need to humiliate what you see as like in yourself. It's a very dangerous practice. And for a man to do that to a woman, to make an example because he wants the same type of an attention that another guy is getting because of these same types of scandals, and or to just demean this particular woman. For what reason? And I think I know what the reasons are. Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's good. We can stop there. I think I made my point.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was looking at the comments here about the kangaroo will try to swap hands with you. Yeah, dude. I've watched a lot of kangaroo sparring videos. They do headlocks. You know, like very Muay Thai-ish type stuff.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. Like these. I don't know, man. You know, I think they could probably also talk.
probably.
They
Yeah.
just don't. You know what? Real quick, this is just an aside. Just an aside. I heard that in the book of Maccabees in the Bible, it talks about animals that could speak.
Did it name any specific ones?
Shit.
Or what did it mention what they were speaking about or what they would be
I
speaking about?
don't recall exactly. It was just something that I randomly heard, and I was just like,
I'm gonna locate
"Whoa!"
it.
Like, it's just there's some crazy stuff in the Bible if you dig, if you dig, I guess. And
Hmm.
so I hadn't had no idea. It was just like, yeah, in the book of Maccabees, it speaks of talking animals. And I was like, what the fuck?
I'm looking it up now.
It's like, excuse me? How come they don't ever talk about those in Sunday sermons?
Right.
Today we gonna talk about talking animals. Like, what the hell?
Right. Let's see. Hold on. So I believe you were asking about the books of Maccabees, which are 4 books that appear in some manuscripts of the Septuagint. These books are not part of the Hebrew Bible, but the first 2 books are part of the canonical scripture in the Septuagint or Gint and the Vulgate, and are included in the Protestant Apocrypha. Not sure if there is a specific reference to animals speaking in the books of Maccabees. However, in 2 Maccabees, there is a brief passage that describes how people were wandering in the mountains and caves like wild animals during the festival of booths.
The
If you have
festival
any other
what?
questions, feel free to ask.
Wait, the festival what?
Booths, Booths.
So that would kind of be like a festival of booths. That reminds me of like a flea market.
Like a marketplace, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought of too.
Okay. Huh.
But that doesn't mean, I mean, that's just one answer. So I'll get the best answer
I,
by
I have
reading
to,
the
I have to
book
dig it.
and seeing if
I
I can
gotta
find
dig
it.
that up, man, and send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll dig that up and send it to you. But yeah, something. It was something about like talking animals or something. I was like, whoa. Mm.
Well, I mean, definitely, we've all spoken to our animals. And kind of sometimes they'll try English, like when we howl and sing together, things like that, they be trying English.
Have you seen that little
Yeah, that dog that presses those buttons to speak.
press the buttons?
That's crazy.
Dude, okay. There's this one dog, it's like a labradoodle or whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
And so they set up a mirror, right? They set up a mirror. And so the dog looks at the mirror and then it goes over to the buttons and it looks at the owner and goes, "Who is this?" And then the dog turns around and looks at the mirror.
Not who that.
Yeah. And so like the owner's like, "It's you." And the dog is like, "Who is this?" Right? And then so then later for hey,
Can you, I can hear
yeah,
you.
dude, I don't StreamYard kind of crashed there.
Yeah, also I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but it's storming where I am. So
No, it crashed on my end just now.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought it was me. I'm always thinking it's me lately because of all these things that have been happening.
No, no. I heard there was like some crazy storm about hitting the East Coast over there.
Yeah, yeah. Apparently, because it's raining like crazy.
No shit. Wow.
And it happened out of nowhere. It was drizzling periodically, but continually throughout the day. Nothing major, and it was not that humid. And then all of a sudden, it's just like crazy right now.
Okay. No, that it just literally just crashed on my end and just loaded back up. So I don't know what that was about.
I missed like the last maybe minute of what you were saying. Though.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I'm
just
trying to
double
remember what the
moving.
hell I'm trying to remember what the hell I was saying.
I just hear
It's-
a bubble moving. I couldn't hear Jack.
yeah, no, I think that yeah, something was going on. So I literally have no idea where I dropped off exactly.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But if
Um,
no one wants to join the panel, if you want to wrap it up, any closing thoughts? I'm kidding.
yeah. Any closing thoughts? Right? No. No, shit. Let me see if there was anything else that I
Okay.
maybe wanted to touch on
Sure.
with regards to this whole intro extrovert thing.
Take
'Cause
your time.
I think really it was just kind of us kind of maybe pondering what this whole introvert extrovert thing was
Mhm.
about, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I think so many people hedge who they are
Shit.
on these kind of like these social archetypes. Uh-oh. Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. I thought there was something happened. I could drop down here.
Especially like in Korea, they used to, how people be like, "What's your sign?" In Korea, they were like, "What's your MBTI score?"
Jesus, really?
hmm
Mm.
It used to be blood type, and now it's more MBTI. I mean, the MBTI is getting kind of played out now, but yeah.
I mean, I would argue like here in the States, it's like how many followers do you have on Instagram or some shit, right?
If somebody asked me that,
How many subscribers do you have on YouTube?
man, listen, I haven't been hit with that. I don't know how I'll handle that.
I
Probably
mean, you
be
know
like,
what?
never mind. Let's forget we said anything to each other.
I am waiting for somebody to literally do that. Like, well, how many subs do you have?
Mm-mm.
Like, what? Are you
Mm-mm.
serious? Did you literally just ask me that?
When I meet people like out of nowhere, like I'm not talking like dating, obviously. I'm talking about just meeting random people.
Yeah.
Like, oh, can I keep in contact with you? Like, I'm talking like women, guys, whatever, just platonic stuff. I don't tell them about like certain things. I don't think that's normal. Like, here's my Facebook page, and I don't even use all that like that, but I mean, I have them, but I don't feel like that's a normal way to. I remember the first time someone asked me that, and
They say, "What's your Insta?" Is that what they say?
hell no, I haven't gotten hit with that. Thank goodness I'm not around that shit. But I remember like around 2011 when I had met who had became a temporary boyfriend at the time. We dated for like 2 years. He asked me when we first met, we exchanged numbers, but he also asked me what my Facebook page was, and I thought that was really strange. I told him, and he gave me his, and I looked, and then I thought, oh, this makes sense because then I can see if what I think of this person more so beforehand. But then after that, it didn't make sense.
See, I think now because of how hyper whatever the term is, that social media is, because everything now is on 1,000,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everything, dude. Everything's all about like what the hell social media is saying. So it's like if you're really trying to, it's hard as hell to keep up
Mm-hmm.
if you're trying to,
And
right?
yeah, and then that seems so lame too. Like the trying to, it's like, oh my gosh, it's
Right.
nice to participate in all of this, particularly with the monetary incentive. Like I'm into that, but in terms of like all this, like, oh, just because I'm popping, like, I've
Oh,
never been like that though. Like that's just weird to me in general.
okay. So that's what it was. I was just speaking about the dog, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, all I was saying is that like the owner put a mirror up, and the dog looked at itself in the mirror, and then goes over to the
Who is
buttons
that?
and
Mhm.
said, "Yeah, who is this?" Right? So the dog pushes the buttons and then turns around and looks at the mirror, and then turns around and looks at the owner. And then, the owner says, "That's you. You're a dog." And it was almost as if it's like,
Like AI becoming self-aware.
yeah, it was like, wait, it's like, I'm a what? Yeah, it was crazy, dude. You're like
That
looking at
is
the dog,
so
and
interesting.
the dog is like like having this existential moment. Like I no
Right.
bullshit. I'm gonna find the video and send it to you. I
That's deep.
shit you not. The dog is sitting there like, wait, what? I'm a dog? What is it? Wait, a dog. I've heard that word, but wait, I'm it. And it's like,
Right. And on the scale of intelligence, they do tend the whoever's doing it tends to rate poodles and Labradors as, two of the top smart dogs.
yeah,
It's very interesting.
yeah. So
I
this
think all
dog is
dogs are brilliant, but
yeah, but this one was literally just on some like, what's the meaning of life type shit. Like literally, the dog
exactly. That's heavy.
had the look on its face
Come
like,
on.
the fuck.
It's like when kids first find out about death, it's like, oh no.
Right.
Why would you do that to that man?
You mean one day I'm gonna die, and then it's just like, yeah, and then they ponder like, why the fuck am I here then?
Or worse yet, you mean one day someone else that I love is gonna
Yeah,
nah.
yeah, and then it becomes this
Fuck
whole
that part about it.
existential thing, like holy shit, so everything I love at some point is gonna go away. And it's like, well, you
Right,
know,
like I have a body. I'm not just an existing organism. I think that's
yeah,
what
it's
I was
just kind of like, wait a minute,
understanding.
I thought it was about these
Like coming
toys
out the
over
birth
here,
canal. Poor
and
thing.
now I'm over here thinking that this is all just gonna be temporary. Like,
Poor guy.
yeah, yeah. So, I don't know. I thought that was
That's
interesting.
extremely interesting. Yeah, like the guy who became friends with the crocodile, and I want to say Costa Rica, but don't quote me on that. Could be in Nicaragua, somewhere around there. But anyway, so the crocodile showed up on his patio, and it was hurt. It was shot, if I remember correctly.
Jeez.
And I can't remember his name. He's like mad famous. So he passed away a couple years ago. They had a whole big ceremony. So the man nursed the helped him every way he could and sent him back on. The crocodile kept coming back.
Mhm.
Crocodile now, not alligator. Okay, it'd be a lot more easy to understand this if it was an alligator. And they had like a 14-year friendship. He would swim with this crocodile, kiss this crocodile, dance in the water.
Shit.
To think of that, the ultimate reptile other than the snake. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and they had a friendship. It was deep. You could feel it just looking at them. That man grieved when he passed away. And I think the bond between them, how it affected other people just knowing about it, very, very interesting.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think extroverts have the ability to bond with animals?
Probably not as much as introverts because I think
Mm,
animals will tend to be more okay with people who have their own force field very strong that doesn't require any externals because I think they function a lot like that. They can't help but to. So it's the same way where like I used to run into bodegas and always pick up the cat. And like the guy was telling you this the other day, the Dominican guys would be like, that cat even hates me. How is he letting you pick him up? So, I mean, it's like, why would they prefer some person to another? There must be something.
shit. I think
If someone's always
Straight up.
exuding. Am I okay?
It cut out a little bit. Can you just go back?
Sure. If someone's always exuding, which is how I'm, or looking to see what the exudings are, which is what I'm like making the extrovert kind of to be.
Right.
I think that might be a little off-putting, because it's like an animal might be like, what's up with you? Like, what you got going on,
I had a really bad joke when you said that, like you said the Dominican guy was like, the cat hates me, why does it let you pick him up?
Mhm.
And I was gonna say because you're Dominican. No, see that's
No, he didn't.
no.
Wow, he went from never ever telling controversial jokes to telling a
No,
wild.
you know what I do? I have a habit of just like, no, but I'm saying that's not me saying it. That's the cat.
No.
See, that's
Oh my god.
see, that's the thing. It wasn't me. It was the cat saying it.
Yo. Just so you didn't just say that.
Oh god. Okay. That's what I was saying, dude. Like the jokes are bad, but just
Shout out to my
understand
Dominican.
it's not coming from me. It was the cat.
Shout-
It
I'm
was
kidding.
it was the cat saying it.
I'm totally kidding.
Wait, what did
But
Randy?
you have no idea how much I appreciate the joke. I just want to be honest. Okay? It was a good joke.
I'm telling you, I'm good for that shit. Just as
That was
long as
good.
people don't get offended, just know that it's coming from a good place. Wait, Rainy, when you said I have to look into that story of the man, oh, and the crocodile. Okay, yeah. She said, yeah, animals would be more prone to engage with introverts because the introvert would have more of a calming presence. I agree. I agree with that. And I think you can you get more in tune. You get more in tune with the animal because you kind of see, and like in like it's you're not sharing space with another human. It's another organism, another being, but it's not a human. So there's more of your space that you can give to it because it's not like, you know, unless it's constantly barking and shit or something like that. It's typically not like nagging you per se. And usually what it is that you're forming bonds with these animals as like kittens or puppies or some shit, right? And so you learn their temperament, they learn yours, and all that kind of stuff, and very easy to kind of coexist with. So I think introverted people have more time and more of an emotional space to give to an animal than an
Mhm.
extroverted person does. I think they only have but so much time and so much space to give it before they have a party to go to or some shit.
And after a bunch of years on the earth, you realize like the place you serve for your animal friends throughout life, like just wild experiences. When I was living in Staten Island, I remember this cat came on my porch to pass away. Like, he was clearly just like, I don't know what was going on. So he was made a bed with a nice box and very, very peaceful so he could pass away peacefully. Why'd he come to my house? You know what I mean? And like things like
Hmm.
that. I mean, I know why. And I'm grateful for that. But of all the places, there were two houses right there, and one of those houses had cats that ran around outside. My cats were inside. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
these types of things really kind of help you understand the relationship. It goes way deeper than even our understanding. You said something really profound. I've been thinking about this a lot. We can communicate with, they can understand us, but we can't understand them. And like at first, of course I heard you, but
Hmm.
I heard it differently as I kind of ruminated on it, because it's just really underlining and you even said this at the time, but it kind of hit home after pondering. It just underlines how much they're not missing, how much we are missing. And I know it's
Hmm.
right there, but it's just kind of a
Hmm.
little more of a real concept, and it's true too, because there even been times where I remember having to get up and leaving the house at early in the morning. And this is always difficult for me, no matter what time, just kind of just a typical process sometimes. Because I want to stay home, and like at the time, and so I would look around my animal friends and they'd be looking at me like they'd be chilling hard, like laying down, sleeping on their back, stomachs up, just looking like doing exactly what I wanted to do. But they would be looking at me like, nah, it's all right, like literally, like this is all part of what's supposed to happen. That's them communicating with me. That's not me projecting my feelings on what's going. I felt that, you know what I mean? So we can understand them. It's kind of like when people say you have a small voice, that's your gut that speaks to you. That voice is anything but small. It's very loud. It's very clear. And sometimes it's so clear you even see the words as picture words in your head. That's how clear this is. So when that happens, do we say, okay, we ignore it, and God in God's grace, Creator will always tap and then knock? I know it's a cliche, but it's real. And then after the knock, people are still calling this a small voice. It's not. So that's exactly as real as how we're able to understand, if we're willing to absorb and accept that the language is not the same. And I mean, maybe speaking with people of foreign languages all day every day, maybe it kind of just makes sense to me that we're not always going to understand each other's words, but we can always understand each other's energy, and we should make it our business to try to do that. I mean, what the hell else do we have to do? That's true communication.
I would say, oh, hey Melo, how you doing?
Nella.
Uh, I would say that you know,
Sorry.
we
Hi. Okay, I just got my connection in. All right. Go
Yeah.
ahead. I'm
oh, okay.
listening.
We speak a lot of languages today that we didn't speak in times past, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say that probably because our the way we linguistically communicate, I would say that it has kind of maybe removed us from say our natural means of communicating. You know, like we always like making noises to animals and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have people that can like emulate like a donkey call or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and just they could make the sound of a donkey and then their donkeys will come running.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that's a form of a human actually speaking in their tongue.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wonder what he's saying. He's
yeah,
like,
now
curse
what
words
the hell?
first. He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what you saying?
yeah. He's just like, dude, what did you say,
Correct.
man? Like, what did you say to him? And then like he tells you, and you're like, what? Like, but those are instances where people, people I've seen like literally people like communicate to animals in their native tongue, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But the point that I was making to you though was that like oftentimes you'll have people that will just literally sit there and just speak whole sentences to a dog, and then it'll just be like, okay, and the dog goes and does it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's me and
But
my dog.
Yeah, but if a dog utters like 2 barks and it's like, what's that, boy? What?
All right.
What? Huh?
Can
What?
we really interpret the bark of a dog as
What do you mean
being?
Timmy's in the well?
What?
Sorry.
Can we interpret it like there are dogs when they bark at you, they're happy that you're present. Then there are dogs that are warning you that if you come any closer, you're not gonna like it. How do you interpret a dog's bark?
We can tell just how you said, you can tell the difference, right? Because there's a difference from a snarl or like it's energy too though. Like you can tell if someone's like, don't come near me, and someone's like, okay, it's all good. You know what I mean?
But dogs also they have like a lot of mannerisms, right? So like head movements, they'll nod their heads, you
That's
know,
true. Yeah.
right? They'll kind of stare, wag tail, they'll like kind of look over here and then look at you. Or they'll like literally say, look, I have to go take a shit. They'll like stand right by the door, like, can you open this thing so I can go outside? You know what I mean? They'll like scratch,
Yeah.
like,
Right. Throwing
they
hints for real.
yeah. No, I'm saying they have their way of communicating, right? But
Mhm.
that's very rudimentary versus when you can say something to a dog and dog's like, hey, I got you. I got
Right,
you.
that's
Hey,
bad
fucking time.
easy.
I got you.
Right.
When I
You
rode a horse, um, it was where I hugged the horse first. I said, "Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you." You
Mhm.
know, and I got on a horse and it trotted around. But my first instance of feeling something from a horse, right, was how downtown in metropolitan cities they have these horse and carriage rides for romantic people. So there was this one carriage outside, and I was like, wow, look how beautiful that horse is. And I went up to it and I looked at its eyes, and those eyes were the saddest eyes I had ever seen
Mhm.
in any living creature.
Mhm.
And it turns out the person who was driving the horse, I said, "Is this horse sad?" He said, "It's a rescue. It was abused before." And I was like, "Wow!" And it prompted me to do a lot of research on, how people handle horses and stuff. But you all were talking about dogs. The only dog I ever had the pleasure of spending my childhood with was actually my aunt's dog. Um, she was a golden retriever,
Nice.
and to me, she was the most intelligent.
Yeah, they're crazy
Really?
for it.
Yeah, she's the most
Yeah.
intelligent and friendly thing. But once a mean uncle came to visit my grandmother's house, he was mean. He's a war veteran. He was really mean. And he was just antagonizing the dog. And keep in mind, Kimona, that was her name, God rest her soul. Kimona never hurt anybody, right? She was
Uh-oh.
very meek, but she knew an asshole when she read when she met. And
Oh yeah.
that was the first time I ever saw Kimona snap. She snapped. She was literally going to tear him apart. It was amazing.
No,
So
dogs, they
yeah,
know. They sense like,
it was like, I'm not a killer, but don't try me, shit.
Okay.
yeah. No, they can sense like um let's say intention,
Mhm.
right? They can sense intention, right? It's
And
really
past
like it
deeds.
yeah, it kind of because it sort of emanates off of like, it
It's their
emanates off the
instinct,
body.
their
Yeah.
survival instinct. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so they're able to read kind of like a person's intention, like, body language, disposition. Like, I don't know that this person kind of gives me funny vibes. Oh, this person looks very friendly. You know, dogs have
Hmm.
like the ability to discern. They are highly intelligent.
Very, extremely.
Yeah, highly intelligent. I don't know how we got to talking about pets. I didn't know. Actually, we were talking about who makes better uh, connections with pets, introverts or extroverts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There have been times. There was this cat. It was all white, and reason why I say this because reason why I make a point to say that I had a fellow colleague when I was studying my graduate studies, but she also was my patient in the clinic, and she was a veterinary nurse, and she said that the more white that this is like how they think about it. And she was like a veterinary nurse for some time. She's like the more white an animal has. I think we're talking about maybe only cats, but I think she said animal. The more it's likely to be. And she said something like she either said obsessive or something like obsessive, and I thought that was really interesting, right? So at the time, I was living in Staten Island, and the Albanians next door to me had this all white cat, right? So, and for some, I love cats, all cats, but for some reason, this cat and I, we just weren't fucking with each other, and I'd never seen before in my life an all white cat. And this is before the woman told me what she told me about all white cats or whatever. She told me because of the story. Anyway, so one day, my ex, rest in peace, and I were walking up the block to the house, and here goes the cat. I almost said his name. I'm not going to say his name in this house. And he walks up to us, and he starts going, and I swear, y'all about to think I'm crazy, but I promise you this is exactly what happened. I will never forget it. And he starts going, row, 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 row. And he's looking right at me. Meanwhile, I'm standing right next to him. And I'm very put off by it. It's not cute in some terms of like, oh yeah, what's up? No, it's like he's decided today he was going to be aggressive and chose violence. And I was like, ew, get away from us. Like at first I didn't know what to think. And do you know this cat argued me down? And I had to literally, me and my ex had to literally be like, yo, get out of here. Like, go away.
Well, he didn't choose violence. He chose to argue.
What was
the cat's intention though?
I'm trying to figure out. And then something crazy happened after that, which I do not want to discuss, but something crazy happened after that. And I feel that cat was an integral part of that situation. And I have very good reason to think that. If y'all know the situation.
You mean the cat was trying to warn you about an upcoming event?
No, the cat tried to lure another animal to jump off the porch and hang itself.
Oh.
I'm not even kidding. Like, I know it sounds crazy. I'm well aware of that. But
I've seen
cat was a demon.
Well, I was gonna say I've seen cats literally just push a glass of water off the counter just because.
Now you all remember that movie Fallen, and how Azazel went into the spirit of that cat.
Have you ever seen these videos where like a cat is like sitting on a counter and there's like a cup right there and the cat's just like he just starts patting it.
And then play that music.
It's off. and then the cat just looks down at it like, yep, look at that. There's a glass on the ground.
And then they put a pair of superimposed sunglasses and a cigarette on it.
Yeah.
Certified bad.
Oh,
yeah.
Nah, they do that. They do that.
Yeah, they do.
But that's so much more like innocent mischief. This cat was evil. Something was very wrong with this situation. Like, and then the people next door are weird. Very
innocent
strange.
If they do it one time and then you tell them not to do it again.
Now, me and this cat had a whole situation, like a whole relationship, dysfunctional one. Yeah.
It might have been sick.
In the head.
They might have been feeding the cat dog food. I don't know. They might have been a sick cat.
No, some cats literally just are assholes. I mean, I had a cat. My cat was cool, but some cats are literally just assholes.
That is a fact.
The one cat I had was kind of pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pleasant cat.
9 times out of 10, they're awesome,
Well, if they choose you, remember.
Oh, they choose people.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
They choose their human.
Mm-hmm.
So is that if they choose you, you're good. If you chose a cat and that cat hates
there's
you,
a lot of truth to that from all experiences.
Yeah, that cat hates your guts. It's gonna make sure it.
No, I've never had that experience.
No, I'm saying like if you chose a cat and the cat hates you,
Oh, I see.
it's gonna remind you every day that it hates you.
And that it didn't choose you. Well, he or she
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
choose you.
You
Yeah.
chose me. Just remember. Just remember. Don't be mad.
Went out of the balance of how things went, and now look what happened.
Yeah, when I terrorize your chihuahua, just know you chose me. I didn't choose you.
When I jump on your stove every 3 minutes, even though you tell me not to.
Just remember, okay? When I claw the shit out of your couch, okay?
I've never had those. You know, some people have cats where they were like waking them up, hitting them in the head and shit. I've never.
Yeah.
I'm like, who are these cats? Like, I don't know these types of cats.
Those are the cats that did not choose.
Right.
That's, yo, all this shit you're talking about, that's those cats right there.
It's true.
The ones that they just be smacking the shit.
It's so true.
Like when they have like somebody have like the camera on them, they're like, watch this cat abuse me. And this cat's like, yeah, watch me abuse him. Watch. Boom, boom, boom. And start, just hit the shit out of him. That's those cats right there.
Someone is a wild person.
Yeah.
Talking about meow.
Right there. Boom.
I like what Raining Woman typed in. That's a book that I'm gonna look up. I appreciate her contributions in the chat room, like în-trə-́vərt, and now a book recommendation. Thank you.
What's the book? I missed the book. What was the book?
The Man and the Crocodile, I believe.
Oh no, it's a video. Yeah, she went and found
it's
it.
a series of videos.
Oh, I see. It's a video. I see.
Yeah.
A bunch of them. Yeah, they're really, really good. Really
Yeah,
good.
I didn't know în-trə-́vərt was a thing. I wish I could say
I
that.
know, right?
Yeah, I wish I could say I was
It describes me perfectly.
But I'm not. I'm not.
So Mela, what you been up to?
I've been alone. I love it. It's like I finally got my family to leave me the blank alone. It was you know how there are, how can I put this? People who think just because you can do something, you should do something, otherwise known as giving them loans and doing them. You know, somebody calls you up on a Friday night, can you order us a pizza?
Wow,
Like, what the hell? You know, and they become dependent on your kindness to the point where it's playing you for a sucker. And it's like, look, you don't have to get a job.
I
Like,
was gonna say what you should have said was, oh yeah, for sure. Just give me your debit card number.
it's my yeah, well, yeah, I've gotten that rude to this at this point. There's a recent situation where this is the type of person, and we're talking about a direct relative, where they come up with an idea to do something, but they have no money to do it. Those types of people, you know, it's like, hey, I want to go to Vegas, or don't you want to go to Vegas?
Mela, listen. You know, you're bringing up this whole money thing. Like, wait, we'll get to that part.
Okay, my bad. But that's how I've been doing. I've been averting.
That's what he's saying. That's how they're coming at it.
Yeah. It's kind of like, hey, you want to go to Vegas? Yeah. Right. And so they just start planning shit with no money.
Right. How are you gonna get there? Oh yeah.
And then it's just like, wait, how are we gonna get there?
It's so crazy.
Oh,
man.
wait, hold on. Hey, let me call Mela real quick. You know, hey, real quick, Mela, we want to go to Vegas.
That's cute.
Yeah, that is adorable. The cat is giving the finger though.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you mean Zone's cat? Nah, he's.
Oh, Zone's cat. I was talking about Zone's avatar.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. The cat that's flipping the bird right there.
I may have a delay. Let me see if I can do something about this. I'll be right back.
Okay.
You sound on time, but
okay.
Yeah, you sound on time.
Yeah, I think you sound all right.
Okay, good.
This Ring Woman said, "My cat, pretty."
That's what I was saying. Yeah, her cat's name is Pretty. That's a beautiful name for a cat.
Yeah, she totally belonged.
That is nice.
Off the patio, and she passed by. They gave her to me. Aw, kitty. Yeah, I miss my cat. But one day I will get another cat.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It'll happen.
My friend's said he's still so my best friend was talking about in high school. He's still so traumatized about the passing of his cat, who actually was from the lineage of one of my litters from back in the day, and he was so traumatized by it. He said he can't
do it again, right?
Yeah, he really wants to, but he's just like he doesn't know if he can do it.
Yeah, it's that whole attachment, detachment thing.
Start comparing the cats to.
What?
It's like my previous cat didn't do that.
Yeah, I know, right? You're all like just making.
You gotta
the cat,
wait till you're ready to love them as an individual.
making the cat all self-conscious.
Right? Why
I
you
can't
like
live
that?
up to the other cat.
Why are you doing that?
Everything I do is not good enough.
The cat needs therapy from alienation.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it goes to see like a cat shrink. It's on the little scratching post, little thing where they lay on those things.
Is that a thing? Do you think somebody's gonna come out with cat therapy?
Yeah, they do all that. They already do all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's hilarious.
Y'all know what's mad popular? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say what they do is they stick you in a room full of kittens and it cures your depression. I'm not even playing. I'm sure
that could do it. Yeah.
There's the other cat therapy where they be really like sitting on the table and like people try to like come to the house and give the cat therapy, like let them know like they can do better. But yeah, what about I was gonna tell you about something just now. What was it? I forgot. It'll come back to me. Oh yeah, in Korea, cat cafes are really popular, and it's for people because in Korea they have like very limited space because most of the people want to live in Seoul and right adjacent to Seoul, so they live in these real stacked apartments. And actually, it's so crazy that there's like a whole thing where neighbor rage is like a real big thing. We can talk about that.
Wait, did you say neighbor rage?
I'm gonna look that up. That sounds interesting.
Okay,
because it's so condensed, right?
People have killed their neighbors and like.
Uh-oh. Did she drop out?
So it's like the projects, only it's in Korea. It's like what the Chicago projects would be.
I didn't know that was called. They had a name for it called is neighbor rage. And then cat cafes. Cat
that's what she was mentioning before she has to reboot or whatever she's doing. Cat cafes. What do you think about that?
I think they should call them cat phase.
Oh.
Cat phase.
Am I
now? Yeah, here you are. All right.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, and so they can't have animals in a lot of their apartments and stuff. Am I cutting anybody off? Because I wasn't able to hear what was going on just before.
Well, he mentioned instead of calling them cat cafes, they should be called cat phase. I thought that was adorable, right?
Yeah, it works perfectly.
Yeah, and I didn't know that, and I didn't know there was a term called neighbor rage.
Well, I just made that up, but that's the only way to describe it because there's a phenomenon of people, bestowing violence on other people because they can't handle the neighbor or the non-neighborly, situation. Loud walking is usually the complaint. Walking, not music now, because in America it'd be music, but nah, it's just walking. Why are you walking so heavy? Or why are your kids stomping around the house? Because they're kids. So cats be like coming to fisticuffs and stuff like that. I mean, people, not cats, but like or animals in a lot of places. Some places they can, okay, but so they have these cat cafes for people who want to be around cats, and they go in there and they chill and they drink coffee and they, they're on their laptop watching YouTube and they have cats sitting on their shoulders and heads and stuff.
Nice.
But what is a cat like? What if a cat decides to just wander off?
I mean, like if someone steals it and takes it home, takes him or her home,
or that too, yeah.
Okay, wandering off.
Well, here's
a ring of cat thefts.
Well, here's the thing, right? Once again, if the cat chose the person, that's okay. Otherwise, if the person takes the cat, they're in for hell. They're gonna really regret doing that.
Oh yeah, those claws are nothing to play with.
Yeah, well, just everything, knocking off glasses and doing assholery stuff that cats do. That's what's gonna happen if you choose a cat. The cat didn't choose you.
So in the cat cafe, I guess the person is the proprietor and everyone else is just visiting.
Yeah, and and the thing about the cats, they really don't give a they kind of don't give a shit if you're there or not. You
My
know.
cats very much give a shit if I'm here or not.
No, I'm talking
like
about
the
at the
cats
cat.
I've met are very curious and friendly.
No, I'm talking about the cat phase right here.
Oh,
Right there,
okay.
in the little corner right there, the cat phase.
I can't wait to tell my clients in Korea that yes. So, oh no, I'm not gonna tell them because then they're gonna steal it. You should just
Yeah, don't.
yeah,
Like
I'm
you
not
gotta
gonna tell
call.
them.
You gotta. You
I
gotta.
realized after I was saying it. No, I got it.
Yeah, no. You can open up a chain
I'm
of these
not going
things,
to say a thing.
right? You open up a chain, cat phase,
Yeah.
and make a killing.
CATF''E, right?
No, you see right down here.
Accents over the E.
Look down there in the
Oh,
corner. Cat
cat
phase.
phase with the PH. A phase.
CATFE with the accent over the E, right?
Yes.
Or you could do that one
Yeah, accent over the E. I
Wait,
I
what's
said
the other
apostrophe.
one?
right
Oh, cat
It's-
face.
y-
Oh, I
yeah.
see what you guys are saying. Oh, okay. I saw that, but I thought he meant we were all in cat phase. I didn't.
I thought he was referring to a dining establishment,
here. We're in
not a
cat phase.
moment in time.
No, no. I mean that's what I mean. You could do it with the A, the apostrophe over the A. That works also. The cat phase.
It's
That's
accent.
true.
Accent.
Yeah, it does.
With
It does
the-
work.
with the thing there.
Yeah.
The whole idea is don't tell them. Real.
No, I
Don't.
got it. I
yeah.
realized that as I was saying it. I was like, wait, no. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep that one in your back pocket.
Oh, what about an internet cafe so that they can come into the cafe on the internet? They can even order coffee that goes directly to them because Korea has the delivery system. I'm sure it could work. And then let me hold that down over the lines. We'll talk about this later.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't start putting shit out here like that.
People
Yeah.
get coffee delivered
Just
to
know
them.
we have the timestamp right here. Okay, so don't try it.
2 hours and 26 minutes.
That's right.
Yeah,
So
around
you
the
can
40
go there,
second
y'all.
mark. Yeah, timestamp that. What'd you say, Mella?
The whole coffee delivery thing was kind of flooring me for a minute.
It's like your cat is a waiter. Oh wait, no, we'll talk more about it later. Never mind.
Yeah, don't.
Awesome idea. Like I'm loving it.
Right, look at this guy right here.
Keep it to yourself, real. Keep it to yourself.
Look at that guy right there.
Buy a domain just in case.
Oh no, wait. No,
Yeah.
now you said that they're gonna go do it. Let me go do it now. Hold on a second. Don't worry, complex. I just want to make sure I get it done.
I know, right? Buy cats, make coffee profit.
Yeah,
No.
we can't have this. Y'all wallet out. There's no way. Let me hold this down right now.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
serious. I'm about to buy the domain. I'll be right back.
She's literally gonna go do this shit.
Yeah, I'm not
Apparently.
still gonna hear this and take it, and they're gonna want us to buy it from them. I'm not having that. Hold on.
Oh yeah, you know what? Hurry up and do it. Go, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm doing it as we
Go and do it because yeah, you know what? Let's stop talking about it because I experienced some shit where me and my business partner, this is like a few years ago, we were looking up a domain, and then so we went back to go and buy the shit, and all of a sudden the price it went through the roof. And so I was sitting there like,
Hey
how
guys.
the fuck did that happen in the span of like about 6 or 7 hours?
Hey
And it
guys.
had to do everything. Yes.
Catfay.com is already taken, and catfay.net is already taken. But there are some other options that we'll talk about later. But just to say it now, let's let it be known that no one from YouTube just did that real quick. Like it's already gone.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna tell you now. There's some other shit out there. I'm gonna find something.
No, we got it. It doesn't matter. Like they can take the domain, but they don't have the concept. And even if they do, they still don't.
Yeah, right there. Domain parking. MF still doing that shit.
Nah, yeah, that's real. It's actually a really smart thing to do. Like if I was listening to this and I didn't like you guys or us guys, I'd be like, let me go hit that real quick and grab it up.
You know what? I would. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that openly.
Oh,
I'm not.
okay.
No, because you know what? I was gonna say I would hope something bad happened to a person who did some punk shit like that.
Nah, it's not no punk shit because it's just business, man. Like you're talking about it while y'all sitting there talking. Why don't you just go grab it? Let me go grab it. Now, when y'all want to grab it, you can
Well,
buy it.
no, it's just like, look, motherfucker, you didn't have this idea until we was talking about it. Just sit your ass there.
So I kind of agree with you because I remember I did premise it with if I didn't like us, I would do it. So there is something to that. But on the same token, like not for nothing, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like if
I know. It's at the end of the day, right? Anybody can go and look at that. Look, cat. Wait. Look at this.
I saw it. We getting all that, okay? That's all I said.
Oh, dude, Zone, you are the man. He literally went and looked that shit up.
Dope as fuck.
Oh my god. All right, well, he's got a business idea of this live stream too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
that could really be a thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you mean it could?
It is already a thing.
It is already.
The problem is it's not a thing called Cat Cafe.
I went to a neighborhood store, and there was this girl that had a clear backpack. I don't know what that material is called when it's clear, see-through, but that was her backpack, and there was this golden-haired cat inside, and it had air holes and whatnot. But
I was going to say, was it closed?
No, it was zipped, but it had air holes, and I looked. I said, "Do you do that all the time?" She said, "Yeah, I love my cat. I take her everywhere." She had a backpack with a cat in it.
So instead of a backpack, it's a cat pack.
Oh shit! Hold that down.
Wait a minute, we got another one. Get it
now. We're rolling
right now.
Get
okay,
it right now.
Talking about it. Let's learn from the past and history. Okay.
Oh.
Hold on, I'm on it.
Now we're rolling.
Shit, it's taken. But we can
Damn
get
it.
catpack.io.
No. Yeah. It's got to be. There's got to be something. Cat. Cat. Cat.pack.
Hold on. Let's see.
It's a clear bag. They have them on Amazon.
Like I had this idea for diapers for parrots one day, right?
Pipers.
For parrots?
Parrots, like wouldn't like the main thing other than not wanting them to have lack of freedom, what's the only issue with having a parrot? The fact that they'd be going to the bathroom. So I'm thinking like, oh shit, I'm about to like break the whole shit open, right? I go on Amazon to see if it exists. There are like several different
They have all these different kinds. They have like hemp and cotton.
I'm like, I hate them.
They have like literally like the washable ones, like the cotton ones.
Right, with parrot faces on them.
You have to use a safety.
Dusty.
You have to.
Hi, Abiola.
You have to.
I named Abiola in high school.
All right, I have a question. If you had a macaw, I think that's the bird that talks back to you. What would you teach it to say?
Man, listen, I feel like as much as I talk around the house, just walking around, like he or she would just pick it up, and it'd probably be stuff like, I don't know, probably a lot of singing, and also like cursing people out from like the TV and computer, things like that, talking on the phone, laughing, shit like that.
You said,
laughing.
If I had a macaw, what would I want it to say?
What would you teach it to say? What would be its signature phrase? That every time it encountered somebody, that's their signature phrase of greeting people.
I have literally.
Like Abiola.
Wait, say that again.
I was just making fun of Abiola. I would teach her to say greetings, Dusties. Why he or she said that? Abiola, my friend was a girl, but I think I see a guy in the avatar. So. And usually Dusties, women would say Dusties, right?
What is this Dusty? What is this stuff?
Oh, a dusty is we're not dusties. I think they're just playing. But a dusty is, you mean what my definition is, or what people
No,
mean
like
by it?
I've been hearing this, right? Because there's guys that they say like dusty
That's a
ninja,
made up term to describe
dusty.
a degenerate
Nah,
individual, n-
exactly. We used to,
namely male.
back in the day, like I used to consider like people from Brooklyn dusty, because like from Harlem, they're dusty. They look like more, like they're like living around a lot of less things, a lot of less things. And
Mm.
like things are just like not as great for them, so they were kind of dusty. So when I say dusty, I mean like not really thriving.
Okay. I was just curious. It's just like dusty. I was like, what the hell is a dusty?
That's a term way before YouTube, at least from my perspective.
Oh, okay. Well, you know me, I'm a dumbass when it comes to this type of stuff.
But when they say dusty on YouTube, they mean like a guy who's like a guy specifically, I think they mean, who talks like, like he acts like he's a man, but if you looked at his life, you'd wonder why he was so
Irresponsible male. Yeah. Uh,
Okay.
socially
But you have to be
irresponsible.
flossing a little bit. Like a dusty is not just a random guy who's like a loser. Like because
Oh,
I just want to kick him in the face and call him a dusty. He just is what he is. But the need for the term dusty, I think, comes from the idea of knocking the guy down on a peg who really is trying to floss like he is a guy, but he's not doing
is
anything.
Kanye a dusty?
Kanye has
Question.
Asperger's.
He's weird, right?
No, no,
I wouldn't
he
say
has
Kanye is a dusty.
he has Asperger's. I mean, you have to just kind of give him his
Now he
space.
does speak in with delusions of grandeur. So I guess what you're saying, why you asked the question, is saying because
Yeah,
he's trying to,
delusions of grandeur is what I was pointing out
I mean, he's
about.
a very brilliant guy and a very creative person, and I mean, he has his demons, but I mean, Kanye's dope as fuck, and it took me like a long time to understand that, because when he came out, I was already like so grown that I like looked down on all these new rappers coming out, and then I found that he was my age, and I'm like, why is he acting like he's not? And I realized he's not, and then I actually started to really listen to. First of all, production wise, he's one of the best, and to be so new, in my opinion, new, and to be one of the best, that's saying a lot. And then lyrically, I love how comfortable he is with his himself in terms of his lyrics, and that's really something that you don't find a lot. So I think that because of those two things alone, he deserves a lot of credit. No matter how nuts he is, he's gone through a lot of shit, and I felt that
That's true.
after the
That's
whole
true.
thing
He's gone through a lot.
with his mom, because remember the
Hmm.
whole George Bush doesn't care about black people thing, that was real. He meant that, you know what I'm saying? Like that came from, like, he was an actual person. And then when his mom was killed, like, or allegedly, when, I don't want to say allegedly because that's so disrespectful, when his mom passed away, okay, by whatever means it happened,
Yeah.
then I mean, of course that's going to really fuck a person up. And then I felt that he sought protection, public protection, from what I think is a covert Muslim organization, but I'm not going to say too much about that right now. And so after that, it kind of like shit just went awry, and
Yeah,
that's
well,
those Kardashians I'm talking about.
his mom was kind of like his covering for the most part, but look, I think like we're in this age now where oftentimes like artisans have or artists have more influence on the public with regards to their opinion and how they see things from a societal standpoint than say like your politicians and your religious leaders and stuff like that, right? So when regardless of how he puts things together or says it, if he says something, typically it's kind of coming from an honest position, like however you feel about it, right? But the killer part is it's the effect that it has when he does do that, because he has the ears of far more people than say people that like may have deeper pockets than him.
Yeah, he has reach.
Yeah, he has reach,
Hmm.
with that regard. So that's kind of why. Well, I come from like a kind of like an arts background a bit too, but me being an introvert, uh, I was never one to really kind of like want to be out there like that. I was more about like just artistry, just creating shit. I hope people
Hmm.
liked it, but I didn't need to like be all like, in the spotlight and shit. I didn't want to be.
So what's fascinating to me is, speaking of being an introvert, I've met twins. One is a woman, one is a man. The
Hey,
man is an extrovert.
Mela, real quick, before we go back to that, can I say something real quick
Oh,
about?
of course.
Thank you. Just real quick. So I wanted to clarify the covert Muslim organization because some people may take that wrong. So what I'm saying is that the group of people I'm talking about are the Kardashians, and what I'm saying is that there's been this public persona of being very Christian, but Muslim weight in terms of money, especially lately in terms of Hollywood and investments, has been a really big thing. So I felt that I mean, this country is considered a Christian country. So there are a lot of things going on there with who's shaking hands with whom and who actually has some more weight and power that's not in those same organizations, but are also in other organizations. So that's what I was saying. I wanted to make sure that was clear.
No, you're all good. I mean, look, I'm like this, man.
Okay.
People. I'm sorry. Well, Mello, you got a point. I didn't want to jump in on what you were saying.
No, I already actually gave the idea that my question would be, how is it that twins can exercise extrovert and introvert? Like one twin is extrovert, he's a male. The other twin is introvert, she's a woman. And I was just wondering, I was just wondering about the biological attribute. What is that? Now, keep in mind, the male, he didn't fare so well. Like she was born, but he had to be put in the incubator, from what I understand. So he spent like 6 months in the incubator, and he was, doted upon while they were growing up, and he was just convinced that his crap didn't stink. But meanwhile, the first twin that was born, the woman, a lot of responsibility was heaped upon her. Like, you got to look out for your brother. You're supposed to, it was people just imposed responsibility upon her, and and as adults to this day, she's more introverted, he's extroverted, and I was just wondering, does anybody think that twins being able to exercise different personality traits is fascinating, or is that just me?
I mean, I think we're all, even if I'm not.
Is it nature or nurture, is what I'm saying. I
No,
think extroverts come about through being told that they're bigger than life. You know what I mean? I think that's where this whole "I'm the life of the party" attitude comes from. They're told that when they're in their formative years.
no. I mean, I would say that that's kind of that has a lot to do with, because we were speaking about this earlier. You have
Did you know
oh
that only
gosh,
one
what
in
happened
10
here? Sorry about that. Um, you know, we have kind of like our base personality when we get here, right? From child, infant, babies
Oh
on.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like even like with me, like when I was little, like little like a baby and stuff, and going into toddler age and all that. My mom and my grandmother, they would call me an old man, right? Because I always kind of had like this, what they said was a frown on my face all the time, and I always just kind of had this mean look, and I didn't say much, and I was just quiet, and I just looked around and didn't do a lot, right? My brothers, not so much. They were different. So that it's kind of like even when we're young. Now, I think there's a few factors that come into play. The time spent in the womb, like what is the outside environment like? Because as a baby in the womb growing, you can hear what's going on through your mother's tummy, right? So a lot of that has a lot to do with
Wait a
how the
minute, where
baby.
did Rio go? Because
Uh,
I really wanted her to point out about this.
I think she's having a. I think she's gonna. There it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah.
Yeah. So no,
Hopefully she can expound later about the what she was saying about the Kardashians being fake Christians, because I didn't even think about that. That's
what
plausible.
what could
Because
maybe
the
like a
last problem is that whole Istanbul, Constantinople split off, and they really pushed this Christian thing hard, and the whole thing happened, like the whole timing of it. There's so much to say, and I don't want to irresponsibly kind of piece it together because it'll sound like I'm nuts. But yeah, I'll talk about it before.
well, I was gonna say, yeah, we
Mhm.
don't want to. Well, I don't want to say it's like maybe a
No,
different life.
please complete your thought. I apologize for interrupting. Of course.
No, I was just saying that we do kind of have like a base personality when we get here, right? And there's things that kind of go into formulating that upon our birth, and then from there, it's gonna be how we're reared in the home, experiences, where we've lived, schools we've gone to, friends that we've had, all that stuff is gonna determine like how we kind of develop. But I would say that you're gonna have people that are naturally inclined to kind of just be more solitude based. You're going to have those that are naturally inclined to want to be amongst people and kind of be that person. And then there's going to be like people in that spectrum, right, in between there. So I don't think it's really just like cut and dry. You're either this or you're that. I think you have the characteristics that you're born with. And then I think there's also circumstances surrounding how you're raised, the home, like you were saying, they were
Yes.
the girl that she had to take care of her brother. So she has more of a responsible disposition, whereas he has more of like maybe a spoiled or you got to do this for me type of disposition, right?
Mhm.
So there's a mix of things that can kind of determine that.
I wish I was a twin sometimes. Can you imagine how much work I would have gotten? Like, there was this rumor when I worked for a state agency back in the day. There was this rumor that the HR person was a twin, and they were swapping out work. Swapping out work days.
I mean, you know what? Respect to them if they could actually pull that shit off.
I think, yeah, and it's like when I look back on it, I find it unbelievable, but people probably are doing that. You know, they're, one of them who is gifted enough to get the gig, and they just split the work
What,
hours.
hooking their brother up with a job or some shit.
Right? You work Monday through Wednesday. I work Saturday.
That would be a terrible way to
Be
live, man.
hilarious.
If I had a twin brother, man, and he came at me with some shit like that, I'd be like, "Are you serious, dude?" Because
My
he'd
uncle
probably be the one to get us fired.
Like,
Right. What do you do when one of them gets the other one fired? Right. What do
Well,
you do
you're
then?
both fired. That's why I'm like, "Hey, no way in hell I do that shit. Hey, fuck you. I need my money."
my uncles are twins, and they're very identical. Like, so much so, like, my grandma had to put bracelets on them because when they were
Wow.
one of their birthmarks, and they looked so much alike. Nowadays they don't look too much alike, and growing up not too much, but as babies, like, so much. I really think just being around them so intimately, I really think that twins, specifically if they're identical, because genetically what happened is, like, they are the same person. I get that they're different, right? So that's where the nurture will come in, but genetically they're the same. And these two were born like 10 minutes after, like some crazy close amount of time. Usually there's some time, even more time between, not between these two. So, and they're extremely different. So I feel like they're, parts of one person, and just knowing them, it feels that way. And did you hear about those twins? They call them the silent twins, and I know people talk about them a lot. I forget their names. They're like Jane and Jennifer something. They were these mixed Black women twins from England, and they had retreated within themselves, and they stopped communicating with the outside world, and they only communicated between each other in a language that was unique to just them. And they went on like this tirade of like orgies and like violence. Like, they were just living wild. And then one day, like, they got in legal trouble. And as the story goes, they're really famous. You guys can look it up. The Silent Twins. I forget their name, the last names. And they were on a bus, according to my memory, and they were on their way to prison, if I remember correctly. And one of them told the other one it was time for her to go, and the other one could actually finally live her life. And before I say the rest of what happened, one of them was considered the actual person, like the ringleader, but the other one was like, I mean, almost like not even a person. I mean, in the sense of communicating with other people, like one of them was definitely like the representative. And so if I remember, it was the representative who said she was going to leave. Now I might be mistaken that it could be the other one, but I think it was the representative said she was going to leave and finally let that one live her life, and she died on the bus. That's how I understand the story to go. June, thank you, June and Jennifer Gibbons. Thank you, Zone. Exactly their last name. And so I mean, and again, being so close to my uncles and just growing up watching them, there's something extremely unique and strange. And their father had triplets in his family, natural triplets, and twins run on their mom's side of the family. My grandmother's side skips a generation like clockwork, so it's deep in there. So I don't know, man. I don't know. They're weird. They're very strange in a good way, but they're strange.
They can communicate that deeply, huh?
I believe so, yeah.
Wow. That would be something else. You know, you got some twin out there and they just show up at the door like, I felt you needed me.
Right?
They can read your mind.
And they fight like cats and dogs too, my uncles. Like they stay not speaking to each other. It's like, you guys talking today? Nah.
Like
a week later, but don't say anything about the other one. Because I mean,
okay.
if somebody else did, they would be ready to cut somebody's throat. Okay. Yeah, they're weird, very weird. And one of them, my grandma and grandpa used to dress them alike. And so one of them, the more extroverted one, who is definitely, they're both really sensitive, but you wouldn't know it with one of them. And he hated it. He said he hated being a twin. He hated dressing like the other one. The other one, the more introverted one, did not have an issue with it. So it's kind of interesting. You know, I don't think people should do twins alike, though. I know it's cute, but it's kind of like, come on, man. You know?
Yeah, that's doing too much.
Right.
I like complex what you had mentioned about not going to prom. I myself did not go to prom. It wasn't that I wasn't afforded the opportunity. I think that that was around the time my parents was breaking up, so I just didn't press it. You know what I mean? So it was on me. I just didn't bring it up. You know?
Yeah,
But I like what you said about how your mom wished that she had prom pictures of you, because I think about my son's prom pictures and they just make me smile. So I really appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, I've done. See, you know what's funny? I've done a lot of things that I would have thought, and this is gonna sound kind of weird, but maybe I would have thought that those would have maybe like been like proud moments for my parents and shit like that, and they totally weren't. And like the stuff that they wish that they would have had, like pictures of, you know, prom pictures and stuff like that. These are things that I didn't particularly care about, right? So it's kind of strange how it all kind of worked. Like what I placed, you know, what I thought was important in life and shit.
I've never placed values on photographs until I became a parent.
Same here.
Yeah, like when I became you know, like for some reason I treasure those images, but you know, I just didn't find any. Like for instance, I've traveled around the world, and it didn't occur to me to take pictures.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like
literally the opposite. Okay, I'm listening.
I was having fun. I was having fun, or I was overwhelmed, a combination of both. But it did not. There were people that took pictures of me, but as far as me going out of my way to make a photo album, that wasn't on my mind at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
wonder where that comes from. I know that I grew up with photo albums. I grew up seeing photo albums on both sides of my family. They were black and white, Polaroids, portraits, paintings. You know, it didn't. I don't know, but I look back on it. It's like, wow, I really could have taken taken some fly ass pictures in a lot of places, but I just didn't do it.
No,
Man,
it's
ever
more of
since
a. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, good.
Uh, oh, I was gonna say. So there's maybe like two. There's two approaches um to I guess you could say recording your experiences. You can record them externally or internally, right? So if you record them internally, that means that you're just there to like soak it all in, and then you record it as like it's literally in your memory, right? So you could tell me about everything. Like you could probably tell me all the different travels, the places you went to, food you ate, weather, the people you met, all that, right? It's
Yeah.
recorded. It's recorded, right? But it's not, say, like on film on a camera or something where you can crack it open and then show other people. Because sometimes, a lot of people, they go and they travel so that they can share the experience, right? So they a lot of times people do that, especially nowadays with all this Instagram shit. People going around and they
Mhm.
just they just they put it on the gram, as they say. Whereas like I've gone places and didn't post any damn thing.
Yeah, I
You know what
don't
I
know
mean?
what that's about. Maybe I'm just not an exhibitionist and it just didn't occur to me to
Yeah,
document stuff like
yeah,
that. But what happened recently, um, Veterans Day, I was like, how can I describe what I did to my son, right? It's like because he's a picture hound. He loves images. And I didn't know, I could describe what I did, but he needed to have a visual understanding. And the best that I could do was just pull some images off Google. That's the best that I could do because I didn't have, somebody taking a picture of me next to this aircraft and that aircraft or loading this weapon or I just didn't have pictures taken of me documenting my travels and journey as a
yeah.
young adult. And
I don't know.
you
When I was
know,
when I was a
but my
kid,
son wants to know, and it's like I don't know what to tell you.
as long as I
Well,
can remember, I've been really fat, like needing to document things. With social media, it changes because it cheapens it. It seems like people are doing it just to upload or something. But nah, there's always been something real special about having those things, and also just like seeing. Remember how fascinating that would be seeing pictures. Can you guys hear me?
yeah,
Okay.
Yes,
Seeing
loud and clear. Yes.
Okay, cool. Seeing pictures of my family, like, and seeing them when they were younger, especially my grandparents. It was like, whoa, my great grandparents, like, what? Look at them. They were so old at the time. So that really meant a lot to me. And it was always so horrifying to think of people losing pictures and pictures that I've lost. And this is, again, before, social media, before digital, even. And then when digital came
Yeah,
in, it was
that's the worst when you lose those one of a kind photos. That's the worst. Yeah.
yes, yes.
yeah,
And then digital photos, it's like it seems okay, cool. It's so much more convenient. But I've got pictures of like especially when I think about Ghana, pictures of Ghana, and they're on some stupid chip. And I'm like, I have to hope, of course, some of them are printed out, but not all of them. And some of them are posted places. But I have to hope that I can still put this in something that's going to be able, like, that's crazy, or else print them all out and have them somewhere. And it's weird because now it's like, we're risking losing them by choice.
well, there's always
Hmm.
the wonders of the cloud, right? You can
Or
always.
if you do
This
go
is
through
like
the trouble of printing them out, get a weatherproof safe or whatever
exactly.
for your,
I put it,
anything that's
yeah,
irreplaceable, just place it
exactly.
in the safe that can't
Absolutely.
be destroyed.
Exactly. That's
Hey,
been like the best insurance from like age 20. What are you going to say, Complex?
oh, I was gonna say I have a daughter who's like, "When you gonna be finished?"
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Yeah.
She's, I'm like,
Oh, that's
yeah,
wonderful.
she just
Well,
came
thank
back
you
from.
so much. I really appreciate this.
Sure, yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
Yeah.
Nice to talk with you.
Yeah. Yeah. You too.
All right, you have a good evening, Mela.
Good night, everyone. Thank
Good
you.
night. All right, Complex. Enjoy.
Yeah, we're she's gonna come in here and I don't know, hang around on me.
Yeah.
She wants a hug,
Definitely.
so
Absolutely.
yeah, she's just kind of like, "What are you doing? You gonna be finished?" I'm like, "All right, all right, all right."
Yep. Tell her we are finished. So
Okay,
always a pleasure, Complex. And we'll talk next time. Thank you guys for joining. We appreciate you. Thank you
absolutely.
I love how the chat has so much feedback, so much valuable feedback. That's really important because I don't see a lot of that around. So it's very refreshing. Thank you.
Hell yeah. And I want to shout out everybody before we close out. Zone, Spawn the Programmer. Let's see, Miss Running Woman, Matt Villainy. Bokumuru, what's going on? You guys, welcome. Good evening and good day. Abiola. Let's see here. Who else came through? I think that's all we had in the chat, I think, from what I can see over here. Oh, no. Sanku came through. What's going on, man? Appreciate
Mhm.
you for coming through. J. Charles. That's what I thought some other calling up. Yeah. So, and Mela as well. Thank you for also joining the panel. Yeah. Oh, wait. I'm missing somebody. I am missing somebody. I saw Adam. Yes. Adam.
Right.
And
What
Alonzo.
AO as well. I just
AO
wanted
as well.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I got everybody. All right. So yeah, I want to appreciate everybody for coming on through. Hit the like button if you like this live stream and subscribe if you haven't. We'll catch you guys on the next go round. Peace out.
Later.